For over 55 years, helping seniors remain independently living in their own homes while reducing social isolation.
So bring your best polka and join us on Sunday, November 2nd from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Marriott AC Hotel at Cascades Park.
For more information or to purchase Oktoberfest tickets, call Elder Care Services at 850-921-5554 or visit eldercarebigbend.org.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Football this weekend. Good. On Twitter, it's at Jay Cameron Show. Appreciate you if you're driving about town. Listening on 93.3 FM Real Talk. You're listening to Tallahassee's only locally owned and operated radio station. Good on you for that. Thanks for supporting local. And that goes for our friends here at Warchant.com. Warchant TV supporting local as well. Thanks for that. Good to be with you. Hello, everybody in the chat. Hello, everybody watching, everybody listening, however it is you do. We appreciate you very, very, very much. And it's good to be back in here. Florida State with the exhibition basketball game against Florida A&M. Charlie Ward has his number retired. That's a lovely event. Good for Charlie. Becomes the only retired number in two sports. That's pretty amazing. Good old Charlie. Makes sense. And that was a nice deal. Soon enough, Florida State basketball will be underway for real. So will Florida A&M basketball for that matter. But November 4th, is that right? I think it is. I have to double check what that is when we're back fully into basketball. The big news of the weekend, and here's where we're at, man. This is happening on the regular, and you could have known this one right from Jump Street, in my opinion. Right about the time Brian Kelly used an affectation to impress his new Southern overlords, you could have guessed this wasn't going to work out. Probably never a good idea. And it's strange that you would do so, but it speaks to a lack of fit. And the reason I say it's strange that you would do so, meaning Kelly's affectation of a Southern draw, if you consider that he had an undefeated season in Cincinnati, and then, if you want, you can do this with a lot of guys. And lately I've been doing this with a lot of guys, checking resumes, checking who they were before we got into this mess. You go back to his career and how good he was at the start of it, winning Coach of the Year in the Big East, having that undefeated season with Cincinnati and beating a bunch of ranked teams. And then you go back to finishing up at Cincinnati with a number 3 ranking in the BCS, if you recall. That was a big to-do. I remember us all going back, like, who is this guy? Kicking ass, taking names. You guys may even go all the way back to Western Michigan. But then from there, he leaves. He becomes LSU's coach. The era begins. And, he ended up signing a massive deal, triples his salary. This is before he gets to LSU's at Notre Dame. That Notre Dame situation is actually a good one when you go back and look at the bulk of his time there. Guides them to an undefeated season. They get killed by Alabama that year. In 2018, he wins the AP Coach of the Year, goes 12-1 with his only loss to Clemson. We tend to forget that as well. 11-1 in 2021, takes the LSU job. Turns out it wasn't a fit. As I said, tripled his salary. But even then, went 10-4, if memory serves, then 10-3, and then obviously, it starts to come to a place where you're going, this isn't working. There aren't terrible seasons, but he's not fitting in, and the press conferences are odd, and they're not winning the biggest of the big games, and they're frustrated with him, and he doesn't feel like he's one of them. So we arrive here. And that means the last 3 weeks that we've come in on a Monday, you've had Franklin at Penn State, Napier at Florida, and now Kelly at LSU. Never mind all the other jobs that are open. And given that Florida State didn't play this past weekend, you had time to take it all in. You had time to surf about, if you will. We have brought this gripe up many times before, but it's never more obvious to me, Tom, than when you have a weekend off and you're not required to be locked in on a number of things that are Florida State related, and all you want to do much, but does require you to flip about. And in the modern era where we all, cut cable because we were going to save all this money, and none of us save all of this money at all, then you're annoyed because you go from that game to this game and you watch the circle buffer for a second. And there is no rapid fire last channel action going like it used to be. There is no more pop, 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 pop the way it used to be. Now you have to be patient. And where is that game even being? Is that the ACC network? Is that Hulu? Is that Peacock? Where is that? Who has that game? That's how that game works. Anyhow, that's a side gripe because I was reminded of the way it was again this weekend. But I kept thinking about the job that we assume at some point will be open here. And I wonder where it fits in the big scheme of things. Now, I don't care about what's now taking place, which is the ranking of the jobs, because LSU's job is a better job than Florida's job. And you could argue maybe Penn State's job is a better job than Florida's job just because of the path. But I do wonder in terms of availability in the coaching merry-go-round and who you would go after and whether or not, certainly your guy, whoever your guy is, and everybody's got one right about now, would be available, right? And it has affected already that discussion because I think that we all kind of look around and you say, all right, what we're learning is that you can be a lot of places and compete to make the college football playoff today in a way that was very different than even going back to when we hired Mike Norvell. And you can be a program that is a non-blue blood, not somebody you ever considered. And then that gets you thinking about what's required of the position. It gets you thinking about who you like. It gets you thinking about what is required. And when you look around at the teams in the top 10, what comes to mind is a Brent Key, right? He's a guy that nobody was excited about when Jeff Collins was fired at Georgia Tech. Nobody. In fact, he was an interim coach. He was the offensive line coach when he got that job, and he was the interim coach, and he's got Georgia Tech undefeated. Again, very few people even realized who Curt Cignetti was because he's got James Madison, and now he's got Indiana steady whooping ass every Saturday. Whooping ass, looking like at times the best team in the country with the way that they win, resoundingly so, every week. And who the hell is Clark Lee? Oh, yeah, that's the dude that was a DC at Notre Dame. Whooping ass at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, what are we doing? Vanderbilt. A playoff contender, perhaps. And you say, all right, well, who else is out there? And when you do it and they pull up the names, and you can look at any number of names that are out there within the AP's top 25, just go team by team by team, and you see a lot of people that you go, wasn't a big name, wasn't a splash hire, didn't seem to be a big deal. I don't know. It has me more contemplative about the direction of Florida State and the guy that you need to bring in, people you need to avoid, and what I hope you consider, what I hope Florida State considers Truthfully, Tom, Dan Lanning was not a big deal when he got hired at Oregon. It wasn't a big freak. He had no head coaching experience whatsoever when he got hired at Oregon. Now we look at Dan Lanning as one of the better coaches in college football, but it wasn't that way when he got hired at all. Some people were like, taking a risk on a guy that's never been a head coach. I just think more and more when we contemplate what the job's going to look like for Florida State, I wonder, again, if that's not going to be the way or the path for Florida State, where you got to think long and hard about who's a fit and who isn't. I go back to the top of my little monologue here, which is we kind of could have known perhaps early on that it wasn't going to work out for Brian Kelly at LSU. That was a weird deal. Pretending to be Southern. It's just a weird deal right off the bat. And could that have been vetted in such a way in the interview process where you'd go, you know what, you're a good football coach. You've been a very good football coach. You may be a jerk, and you are, and that's why nobody gives you the benefit of the doubt or dares recite your actual great seasons, many of which you've had year over year at a lot of places that proved your coaching acumen. Most people, though, don't view you that way, partly because you make it easy on them. They hate you. You're an ass. You act like an ass. You do dumb things like fake a Southern accent. Moreover, you forced a kid up onto a scaffolding that fell and he died. Yeah, you're not a good guy. You're a red-faced ass face, and you are not easily likable. So we don't recognize your undefeated campaigns at Notre Dame and Cincinnati and all the great years that you had. We just say, screw that guy. But to look at it a different way would be to say, well, he's a good coach. There's no getting around that. But he was a terrible, terrible fit at LSU. And that leads me to the conversation about Florida State and who you bring in and who would be a good fit and what are you looking for. And you're doing it at a time where there's a lot of jobs open. And a super agent is the puppet master for almost all of them. Some of you would hear this and say, that's why they're not going to do it, Jeff. They're going to hold on to him. Easy to say that after a bye where you were no longer in harm's way this weekend. Your emotions could not be jerked around in the way they had been for the last 4 games. You got a respite for it or from it. And doing so, it's amazing how it works. Just 1 weekend away from the scarring associated with poor football, bad decisions, poor play, and losses to unranked teams make you feel a little better, a little less clouded in terms of your vision. And you're like, well, maybe we won't. That's the email I got this weekend. Maybe we won't have to fire him. Oh, we absolutely have to fire him.
We have to, but will they? And what if you get
That's
a win?
The second part of the conversation.
Yeah, what if they get a win over Wake Forest that's 10, 17 points? Do you start getting leaks from the inside so that they take a temperature? Like, well, if he continues down this path. I mean, you have indicated that you're not definitely going to fire Mike Norvell. You left the door open by not firing him.
Yeah, well, that's what leads to the whole bring back Jimbo.
Yeah. Thankfully, I was so happy to have some time away just to calm down a little bit. I'm still every bit as furious, but I'm not going to share that every day. You get the point.
Yeah.
It's offensive. This whole thing is. But let's see what they do, because you have another school just to our west yesterday that has a very similar looking buyout in terms of total dollars and structure. It's a monthly payout, $800K a month to Brian Kelly to let him walk. I think the percentage is a little bit higher than the percentage of our buyout of what they would owe Brian Kelly, but clearly they have the money and they're doing it. And if you read the Ross Dellinger piece, the manner in which they got there is very Louisiana. It involved the governor's mansion and a bunch of people getting in there together and talking about the future of LSU football. Us, on the other hand, we're in wait and see mode.
Yeah,
that's what they chose to do, is go wait and see, which means that you could wait and wait and wait some more until you see that they decide to roll it back, run it back for one more year. And that has to be considered at least a significant possibility as we sit here after the bye week.
I think it's $747,222.22 or something like that is what it is per month for Brian Kelly. which got me thinking about that interaction with the AD. And I thought to myself, that must have been, if you're him, if that's me, and then you call me into your office and you say, all right, we got to make some changes, Brian. I'm upset with the way this is playing out. And, this is people are upset. We're going to have to make some changes to the structure of this coaching staff, this program. And I'm going to suggest that we fire your offensive coordinator. And the second it comes out of his mouth, which if you read the report, obviously that pissed off Brian Kelly. And then Brian was like, well, in that case, I want to fire this guy, and this guy, and all that. And then it escalates to the point where they end up firing him, which was clearly always on the table, and that he had carte blanche to do so. Boosters and everybody involved basically had told him he could do it. But at that point, if you're telling me I'm making $700,000+ a month for the foreseeable future, the second you say I have to fire a coach, I'm going to say, well, your wife is ugly. And then I'm going to let it sit there, and he's going to look at me quizzically, dumbfounded, and then he's going to say something else about the need for change, and I'm going to go, I also think you're ugly. You and your wife, you fat, sorry bitch. And then he's going to go, what is going on here? Like, I don't know, loser. And this is going to continue until he fires me, and I'm going to go, whoa! And the pants are coming off. And I'm going to moonwalk out of that office, collect my $777,000 a month while I sit butt-ass naked in Baton Rouge on my front lawn, spread eagle while people drive by. Because I can.
This is 4 a.m, Jeff.
$777,000. What a great day to have a kiss my ass on Main Street moment. And I'm going to break out the Southern accent as I do it. That's going to be me. Fired Jeff Cameron in Louisiana.
I believe that's the previous head coach who was fired, who said something of the like. Ed Orgeron said, what door do you want me to leave out of?
Yeah.
After they said,
It's
we're
the
done.
easiest thing in the world. What a great day. My God.
We'll go to Senor Frogs. Get some drinks.
Greatest Sunday of all time. I'm going to go back and look at that flea flicker that Florida State ran on me. I mean, goodness gracious. What an insane, silly sport. Hey, but there is no money for the players. They can't have any. Where are we to get this money? Comical.
Just wanted to make sure you have my routing number correct for the direct deposit.
We recently switched accounts.
Yeah, that's right. Want to make sure it goes to the right place.
Yeah. So this is where we sit. The sport is silly. The numbers are gaudy, off-putting. And it doesn't appear that there's any guarantees for any of them, meaning that they're going to be successful.
Here's the question. Are we witnessing the last great wave? Not the last of its kind, but the last great wave of massive buyouts for fired coaches?
If they wake the F up, man, and stop being held hostage by Jimmy Sexton and tell him, like, look, man, we're not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not signing your client to $15 million a year with a buyout that's going to get him paid even 4 years into a deal in the neighborhood of $70 or $60 million. Go to hell with that. There are tons of really good football coaches. All of them now are armed with the same rev share number. The difference being, obviously, how much is raised in NIL? True. But you have the basis for being competitive everywhere with that dollar amount of rev share. And if I'm organized and I have a plan and I can produce a buy-in and I understand what I am, who I am, and how my system works in any given place, whether or not I'm a fit, whether or not I can make connections at a place like this and we can win long-term and grow together, These are the things I need you to start looking at. I need you to organize it like an NFL franchise with a real GM and roster allocation in terms of money percentage to each segment group the way they do in the National Football League and what produces wins. And, stop being held hostage by a singular entity and a gross mishandling of funds. It's Brian Kelly. The reason I brought up the resume was to remind people that Brian Kelly was an elite coach. He's an ass, but he was an elite coach. There's no chance that the guy who did the things that I laid out, which was routinely have Notre Dame in contention at a place at the time where the restrictions were very real for him in roster building as far as, who you could get into the school or not, and then having a number 3 BCS ranked Cincinnati team, an undefeated squad, and then having the seasons that he did, which led for him to be the top candidate for the LSU job and many others at the time that he took the LSU job. He left Notre Dame because he didn't feel like they could win a national championship. They could compete to be in the game, but that they were always going to get blown out because they did not have the elite ability to recruit and retain and build championship level depth. And so he goes to a place where he thought he could do that, which LSU is certainly that place. LSU is a factory. LSU is one of the best jobs in the entire country. You have a ton of money. It is access to talent, support from the administration and the local nut jobs. You have everything you need. Facilities are great. Did he forget how to coach? He didn't forget how to coach. It wasn't a good fit. Didn't connect with those fans, didn't connect with that community, didn't connect with that university. Eventually there's the weight of all of that. And if anything begins to go wrong, the knives come out, and they did. And then I think operating under that kind of scrutiny can be very, very difficult. And I don't feel sorry for him because, as I just said, he has an opportunity if he'll take it. He's sitting butt naked in the front lawn in Baton Rouge with $70 or $53 million headed your way. It just makes things really complicated per our discussion of where you go next and who is that sure thing. And this is a time where I'm not so sure there is. I think Lane Kiffin comes to Florida State. Florida State's back, winning national championships, competing for them instantly. I'm not so sure. I'm not sure Lane would really fit in here all that well. Not that Florida State's going to try to get Lane Kiffin, but Lane has certainly changed his life. He's a different person now than he was, say, 6 years ago, which changes the way that we view him. Most people still, though, view him the way they did when he hadn't made some significant alterations to his private life and health.
No, true. He's still a child on the field, but yes.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
But I'm saying,
and you need that. You need that total balance in order to, in this day and age, when the demands on your time are so comprehensive. They were already way more than an NFL head coach, and he's been both, oddly. If you think about that, It seems like a lifetime ago. But the demands on a college coach were always more hours of the day, more days on the calendar. And now, with NIL and the transfer portal, you better have balance. You better have balance, or else you might be able to short-term fake it for a little while, but it's not going to be a sustainable thing. And certainly not if you're, not say us, let's say Florida or LSU. If you're trying to make a $15 million annual commitment to somebody, they better have it buttoned up.
Yeah, I just there are very few jobs where, look at what Elko's doing right now at Texas A&M. He's doing a great job. And then you go around and you look at the different folks, and it's interesting. It was pointed out, and I forgot about that until I read it again this morning. A&M wasn't trying to hire Elko; they tried to hire Mark Stoops. And then the public reaction when it got out that Mark Stoops was going to be the next head coach at Texas A&M was such that they had to reconsider, and then Elko became available. Well, in essence, Elko expressed interest, and they pulled the trigger with him.
Which is funny, because if you just line them up next to each other, it's like when you're recruiting in the video game and there's 2 4-stars and they're the same player, just different names.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same guy.
Yeah.
Little different, but defensive-minded, program builder. Not exactly dynamic. Not going to be somebody you put on the poster board. Just gets it done.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's a weird time. I tell you what most people don't like as we sit here today, and it's a game week, and you'd love to celebrate a game week. You'd love to be talking about how it is that there's a game. Florida State's back on the football field this Saturday. It is an ugly juxtaposition to the excitement you feel about most game weeks, most opportunities to head over to Doak Campbell and Bobby Bowden Field and to be with the people that you love, to celebrate another Saturday and to have fun and to tailgate and to go in and hopefully watch a win. Instead, what you get is a fan base who I think is collectively in limbo. And nobody likes being in limbo. It's the worst feeling in the world. You're almost better off just knowing that you're face down in the ditch. All right, we're face down in the ditch. Let's start slowly here. Maybe get some water in us. Gather, change your clothes. All right, everybody, let's chill out. Let's lay on the couch for a little while. Let's gather ourselves. Let's not let this happen again. These days are getting away from us. We ended up in the ditch. It's like you'd almost rather that, because there's just stepping stones and blocks and ways to build towards something better. When you're stuck, you're just kind of like, all right, I'm in an empty room. It's covered. I'm out of the elements. They bring me water and some bread every now and again, but boy, this sucks.
I think we're choosing right now between the business end of the latrine or a ditch. I think those are our two choices. But we are in limbo because we have been led to limbo by the admin in the moment. But hey, end of the season, we'll let you know. And that might not be literally what they're going to do, but certainly that's the reality that we have to live in at the end of October, which is, you see all these other organizations around the country that have decided what they're going to do. We're not so sure, but we have a comprehensive assessment on the way.
Check your phones when the clock strikes 0 after the Florida game. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your business doesn't stop, and neither does IOI's. From the trusted owners of Mac & More Systems, IOI's offers 24/7 IT support, cybersecurity monitoring, HIPAA and compliance consulting, cloud data management, phone systems, and full network design and security. For healthcare, finance, legal industries, IOI specializes in keeping sensitive industries protected and connected. Local service, major protection. Visit IOIs.com today and discover why smart businesses trust IOIs. Let me tell you, as a homeowner, I used to dread every rainstorm. Water would flow around the outside of my home, my yard, and the gutters would clog and overflow. I'd have to make sure I had buckets and duct tape ready every time. Then I called New Vision Gutters, and I can see the difference. Now I sleep through the storms. No puddles, no leaks, no clogs, no stress. If you've got water problems, trust me. Call the pros at New Vision Gutters, where they take pride and passion in protecting your most valuable possessions. It's the MVP treatment and the best call I ever made.
Here's the cold, hard truth. Your body needs more than you're giving it to stay healthy. And now it's easier than ever with Vigor, the all-new cold plunge tub from Hot Spring Spas. Available only at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas in Tallahassee. Cold plunges reduce muscle soreness, boost mood, improve sleep, and so much more. It's not just a trend, it's science-backed wellness. And now you can have it in your own home. Ready to feel alive again? Pinch a Penny has the exclusive home use solution. Visit us on Capitol Circle Northeast and take the plunge.
Can we talk about the most important things in your life, your family, your friends, your home, and enjoying the time you spend together? You sure don't want to have to think about whether everybody's going to be comfortable. You want Tony Kelly to make sure everybody's comfortable. That's what Tony Kelly does, and that's what's most important for the entire Tony Kelly team. Their prompt, professional service and attention to detail, they're famous for it. Focus on what's most important to you and let Tony Kelly Heating and Air keep everybody comfortable.
Stay comfortable and stay focused on the most important things with Tony Kelly Heating and Air, committed to serving you and your family with exceptional service, skilled technicians, and reliable high-quality work. Go to TonyKellyInc.com to find their full range of HVAC services, including repairs, installations, inspections, and maintenance. TonyKellyInc.com or call 850-385-3774.
When you need the plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to wait?
Hey guys, we really need you over here. My toddler just flushed a whole bunch of toys down the toilet and everything, and I mean everything, is backing up.
2 hours?
Hey guys, just checking in. The water has reached the hallway now and it's getting pretty deep. Can you get here anytime soon?
4 hours?
Hey guys, can you please hurry? Now my wiener dog is doing the backstroke over here, and they're not known to be strong swimmers. Hey honey, grab his life jacket.
8 hours?
Oh, so now you're here.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service right when you need it. Our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. And now M&L Plumbing can also be your go-to for all septic tank pump-out services. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing. Your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or online at mnlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
So it is interesting in this week's AP Top 25, 6 teams are coached by someone who was a head coach at another power conference school when hired by their current team. Elko was at Duke, Alabama's Kalen DeBoer was at Washington, Miami's Mario Cristobal was at Oregon, Louisville's Jeff Brom was kicking ass at Purdue, Cincinnati's Scott Satterfield was at Louisville, and USC's Lincoln Riley was at Oklahoma. And in the case of Cristobal and Brom, they left to go to their alma maters. You guys know that. And I like Brom a lot. I would hire Jeff Brom, but he's a guy that's now being mentioned pretty regularly for some of the other bigger jobs too. There is something else to look at here, and it's a tough one to stomach, Tom, but I'm going to posit it. Provided he doesn't continue to throw up all over himself every Saturday. I'm speaking of Mike Norvell. And provided he finds a way to collect some ACC victories before the season's up, do you consider waiting around to become the best job open next year?
Do I?
I don't either. Given the abundance of job openings and the competitive circus surrounding those particular suitors and that agent, if you were to wait, Florida State would likely be in the position of being the best possible job opening next year. Of course, just something to throw out there, food for thought. I wouldn't do it. I'd like to look at some combination of a Drinkwitz at Mizzou, of perhaps a Summerall at Tulane, who I've mentioned before, who I like, a Brom at Louisville, or a Franklin, I suppose, at Penn State if he's still on the board. If you give me some combination of one of those 4 guys, and we're in it, and we're not going to get bent over a barrel for it, maybe.
So you would say, and I think you would agree with me here, that when the playoff committee elevated Alabama and Texas over Florida State, they were making a statement about the citizenry of the ACC in college football.
Yeah, I thought so.
That they were the untouchables relative to some of the other higher castes.
Yeah, we were lesser than.
Yeah, this would be the Florida State administration admitting that the committee was right if they do that. If that's their line of thinking, that this is too competitive an open market, we need to wait. That would be the administration sending the exact same message that the playoff committee sent, and that is that Florida State is a second-class program. So I hope they don't do that.
I hope they don't do that. I don't specifically. I would say to you that there are people who feel the same way you do about what that message is. I'm not sure I completely agree. I understand the optics.
Well, that is not to be confused with we need to get into the sweepstakes for James Franklin and Lane Kiffin.
Well, that's where I'm going here. It's that, okay, well, is there somebody you want? If that somebody is one of these bigger names, let's be honest about who we are right now. Unfortunately for us, we're in the same boat as all the other programs that are not in the Big Ten or the SEC. We may be the best and most recognizable brand of the non-SEC Big Ten schools. We may be bigger brands than the bulk of those that are in that conference. We are not, however, as in an enviable position as they are, and thus agents or super agent isn't steering the biggest of those names who are going to command the biggest salaries to a place that cannot provide it based on their hands being tied commensurate to the conference they're in.
That would be, to me, akin to an athlete complaining about the elements and not their own performance. And whatever that is, hostile environment, bad weather, focus on us. That's the whole thing here. I don't care about the price that is paid for the next head coach. It could be 14, and I'd be like, I'm not so sure. It could be 3, and I'd say I'm not so sure. But I know it's better than this. It has to be better than what we have right here. So don't even look outside of our walls in the Moore Center and the football-only facility. Is it cutting it? If it's not, you have to make a move.
Well, I agree with you that he should be fired. I thought he should be fired at the end of last year. That's not up for debate. But where we would part ways with this is I am not spending $14-15 million on the next head coach by virtue of being caught up in this rat race and getting screwed the same way that I was screwed when we signed him to that extension.
Right, agreed. But I would say don't go to the market because you're afraid, because that's what it would be.
It would appear.
You're afraid that, let's say Auburn opens up too, that all of these other schools out there are more attractive than us in the moment. That doesn't matter. That could be true. Doesn't matter. Are you doing right by your own locker room here? Are you doing right by your own fan base? Are you living up to your own standard? You can find somebody. You just enumerated many names.
Yes, I did.
That were not lauded and championed and given a parade when they arrived in town that materialized into something real. So there is your incentive to move, because unfortunately, the next guy that we bring in is going to have to do the thing we were begging Mike Norvell to do this year, which was to stabilize this place and set a foundation that you can build upon. I talked to a bunch of people this weekend that said, I hope the next guy can just come in here and get us started on the path of 8-9 wins. That's what we were begging Mike to do this year, and clearly he's not trending to do it. So we can't even get him to do the base bare minimum. How you would keep him in those circumstances?
I'm in favor of firing him. I do think that perhaps the delay is that you do have to have your ducks in a row, though. Who do you want? I mean, if you're going to enter into the market, who do you want? Who are you going to present to? Who are you going to talk to? Who are you going to lay out a plan for? And
clearly they were not working on a emergency scenario of, stripping Mike of his day-to-day offensive duties didn't work.
You know what I think? I think they thought he'd go 8-4. I think they thought he'd go 8-4 and they'd have some time. He'd be back next year. There'd be an opportunity to kind of try to continue to build. If not, at the end of next year, now we're 2 years down the road and the money is significantly less. But if you could get to 8 wins, you might be in a position to be sitting pretty and a year closer to getting out of this conference and falling into the real money, which is the Super 2. How much closer are you to being able to pay your way out of the ACC? That's something to figure out as well. I think that's what they thought. And then these last 4 games happen. Now, you can, if you're them, lie to yourself, and I think they probably are right about now, and say, well, maybe he starts to put together some wins here and we can get out from under the burden of having to do this.
Obviously, this is humiliating for everyone involved.
It sucks.
And you brought the fans in there for an extra bit of humiliation, because that's what, again, what this week is all about. You have taken away this guy's specialty, fired his coordinators. Just look at it from afar. So if we're saying over there in Tallahassee, man, he couldn't even cut it, and they had to bring in 2 new coordinators. Now that's not even working. What are they going to do? Bring in a GM, put him over the top? So Mike doesn't even have personnel decisions, or he's not in charge of evaluation, and he's not in charge of the offense. So what is he? He's just standing there collecting checks on the sidelines, and he's a mascot now? Like, that's how it would look if you kept him for another year and you brought in somebody to the front office that was in charge of recruiting operations or whatever it is. You would have stripped him down, neutered him, and then you're going to pick a limb, Mike. We're going to cut off one of your limbs now. Like,
just a flesh wound.
Right. Just so you can continue to pay him $10 million instead of the $8 million to fire him. Man, I don't know. It's a tough sell because there's a lot of people out there that could help you more, and they're not all worth $12 million annually as a head coach. You probably get somebody in here for half the price you're paying him, and you would get more out of it.
Well, at this rate, certainly, yes. I would think. It sucks to be in a position to have to start over yet again and eat these dollars and then say to yourself, who's the guarantee? you are, but the counter to that is that's the price of playing big-time college football, buddy. You want to be in the game or not?
I can guarantee you what it's going to sound like in Doak if you don't do anything.
Well, that's happening regardless.
Crickets. That's what it's going to sound like. And or drunk people yelling. One of two things. It ain't exactly a whole lot of Warchant.
Probably a little bit of both, buddy. Probably a little bit of both. We'll see about this Saturday. Is this the last vestige of hope here? You go out there and hold on. Hey, Wake got that big win against Rhett Lashley and SMU falling on their face to Wake over the weekend, 13-12. Did you see the end of that game?
Yes.
It was hideous.
Yeah. Yes.
Hideous. Both those teams look incompetent for the bulk of that game. And you're like, yeah, they'd both beat us probably.
Yes. Well, it's crazy. Yeah. Well, and North Carolina gave Virginia a go.
Everything they wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know who didn't give Miami a go? Stanford.
Yeah. For a quarter.
Oh, for a quarter,
they gave
buddy.
you a quarter.
Yeah, it's 42-7 for that ass.
Yeah.
Oh, but we couldn't do it.
It's just
way to get the job done, Miami. Thanks for doing what we couldn't.
We were asking if you wanted Mike to deliver or the players to deliver a message that could set the path for Florida State as they're hopping on the plane to Stanford, like, just give me something. What they gave you that night in film terms was Lawrence of Arabia. In terms of this great statement, this is a bold thing. And it feels like the administration's like, I wonder if we should make a sequel. Maybe we can unkill old Lawrence. There's a little bit more of a story to tell. If the Stanford game didn't do it, is what I'm trying to say.
Correct.
That you think Wake is gonna? If it does, then that is even more damning. That is even more damning. If
that's why I say they're holding on for dear life, hoping that they can get to those 8 wins, buddy.
Really? It was the Wake loss, was it? That's what you would say.
It's a bridge too far,
Right,
Tom. We got to let him go.
Really? Stanford wasn't the bridge pretty far away?
Want to shout out my man Shannon Young of Cross Country Mortgage. You hear me vouch for Shannon all the time, and Shannon got in touch with me over the weekend. I always talk to you guys about going to loansforknowles.com if you're out there searching how he's relentlessly goal-oriented. I mean, smart, energetic, has a great passion for what he does. He's now in 7 different states. Well, guess what? Some long-time and passionate Jeff Cameron Show listeners went and saw my man Shannon Young. And I want to say, Andy and Chuck, good on you. Andy, I think it's Neves in Ponte Vedra. Thanks for listening to the show. We appreciate you. And thank you for securing your loan from Shannon Young. And thank you also to Chuck Wyatt out of Alabama listening to the show. Called, said, you know what? Cameron's always vouching for this guy. I'm going to call him and find out what he's all about. Boom! Secured his loan as well.
$60 million?
It's happening left and right. Loansforknowles.com. Secure yours today with my man Shannon Young. Loansforknowles.com.
This is Meter.
The peak of freshness is at your grocery store, and it's called Fresh from Florida. Fresh from Florida is local produce grown by farmers right here in our own state, meaning it's always fresh, always in season, and always mouth-wateringly good. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo or ask for it by name where you shop.
Florida man, you're all crooked again. What did you do to yourself this time?
Well, we were tailgating before the big game, and I had to defend Hank's honor. Some guy saw him wearing his gold chain and said, "Nice Gator fan." Can you believe that? Hank is a Seminole, thank you very much. But it all went downhill during Flip Cup. Hank was losing bad, and the guy starts heckling. He says, "Figures a Gator fan can't flip." The next thing I know, Hank's all over the table and going for the guy's throat. I tried to break it up. I grabbed a keg to end the chaos, and bam, my back went out like a lawn chair in a hurricane. I didn't even make it to the game.
Let me guess, Hank went without you.
Yep, stormed the field after the win.
At Finn Chiropractic, they'll get to the root of your pain and deliver the solutions. Book your appointment online at finchiro.com, and you'll even get an online discount. Visit finchiro.com today and find your path to a pain-free tomorrow.
Hey, Jeff, what's up, buddy?
I was just thinking, I never tell you that when you grow up, one of the things that you'll miss are the games that you created with your friends in the neighborhood.
Oh, good days.
So I would have my buddy come over, and then we'd make up these games that were kind of like a hodgepodge of every game that you've ever played.
Kind of like the bikes we built.
Correct. Yes. And it's a grand experiment. In the beginning, nobody knows how to play the game, and you argue about what the rules are going to be. And in the end, everybody knows how to play the game. By the end of that summer, you know the rules, the neighborhood know the rules, and you play that game like it's the greatest game ever played.
And you still try to break the rules, right?
Oh, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But at the end, Eddie, you're never going to play it again, and you'll think about it the rest of your life.
And the best game you ever played was that game.
Never been a better one.
Hey, you want to have a Gordo Smash, Jeff?
I do. I'd like that.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Going to be a weird week. It already was. Mike Norvell meeting on Wake Forest week with the press. Quote, as we get into this week, it's about our football team continuing to come together.
There's nothing he could say.
I know. It's the worst. It's the worst. It's like, what's my angle? What's my approach today? What am I going to say when the collective media arrives to hear my thoughts about the big Wake matchup this weekend? It's about our football team continuing to come together. It's time we rise up. He did mention rising up.
If he had a blunt or self-deprecating humor card, he would have played it long ago, but he never has. So it's going to be about steadfastness, and that's what you're reading.
Demon Deacons 5-2 on the season with the big win over SMU. I wonder how many folks feel confident that Florida State will walk into that stadium on homecoming, provide the joy so many Noles who are traveling in from places far and wide are desperate to see. Excited to watch. They're going to ignore all of the dastardly losses compiled over the last 4 weeks and instead say, all right, it's a fresh canvas. Let's paint. Let's celebrate the vibrance of another opportunity. It's another chance, another opportunity, Tom, to make it right, to rise up, to continue to come together.
If you score the win, you'll be happy in the moment. It'll be the happy you feel. I'm sure you've had a rough car or two in your lifetime, one that was on the verge of not being useful anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you turn it over and you hope the engine's going to start, because it's really at the end of its shelf life.
It's at the end. We're done here. Yeah.
And if the car starts, you go, all right.
How about this?
You feel great about that. And then you listen to it as you're driving down the road and you realize, oh, man, I got away with it today, but I don't know, man. Should I turn it off where I go next, or should I leave the engine running and run inside real quick? That's what you would feel. That kind of a short-term burst of joy. You go, all right, we don't have to talk about the worst tonight.
I did wonder, like, I actually envisioned, I thought to myself, What will we feel walking out of that stadium late night, 7:30 kickoff? Noles come in as a more than a touchdown favorite for this game against Wake Forest. Noles minus 7.5, your line. Over under at 50.5 as we sit here on a Monday. 50.5. Wake dropped 13 on SMU. The 13th being a field goal as time expired, and rather inexplicable how that game ended. Wake turned it over, I believe, 3 times inside the 5. Had 5 for the game. And yet SMU, unable to run out the clock, kicked it away. Wake, no timeouts, complete a pass, get in position, kick the field goal, win a game they deserve to win. They were the better team all day long. And had they been punching their ticket throughout the course of that game, we would have been talking about a rather interesting result. A game in which Wake had resoundingly beaten SMU, as they should have, at least according to the play on the field. So when you present it that way, you now say, what do I think about that game against Wake? Had SMU not been the benefactor of all of those turnovers, most of them inside the 5, we would have been looking at a Wake blowout over SMU for their 5th win of the season. Of course, their 5 wins better than Florida State's win total on the year. And 3-4, Tommy. So that's a toughie. It's interesting that we're favored, don't you think?
Yeah, who's the better football team?
I was just about to say.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I'm laying bare here.
Are we getting the wrong team's favored Friday afternoon at 1:30 for the guest spot?
We'll see. Wake, oh, man. I'm not telling you Wake's good. I'm just telling you they've been playing better than a lot of people thought they would this year, and that game, even though they won it, was such that you could argue they should have blown SMU out. And if that were the result, I don't know. Maybe we'd be nervous. But then again, to be nervous, you have to be invested. To be nervous, you have to care deeply about the result. To be nervous, you have to think that it matters. And what I worry about is that sense of being apathetic at this point. Are you? Do you care? For the record, Wake this year with a 10-9 win over Kennesaw State, and it was a doozy. Leading rusher on the day, 42 yards. They did beat Western Carolina 42-10. Throttled that ass. That's what they did to Western Carolina. Lost to NC State by 10, 34-24. Lost to Georgia Tech in overtime when you and I were at the Vinoy down in St. Petersburg, 30-29 in a game that Wake should have won. Yeah. Now imagine we're talking about Wake sitting here with just the one loss on the record. Got screwed in that game by an official, I might add.
Yeah, I think we're overthinking this. This is an ACC game. That would be the challenge before us this week.
On the ACC network. A doozy that it is. They beat Virginia Tech by 7, throttled Oregon State 39-14, at Oregon State, mind you, and just beat SMU 13-12. Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird game. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Warchant.com will join us then. Be patient. We'll be right back. Fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the Battle's End. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653.
Hey everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 373031.
Pay-per-view fights can ring up big bills, especially since in the Octagon there is one every few weeks. That's why the Seventh Hill Tap Room right downstairs from Corner Pocket Bar and Grill carries every single fight. Plus, unlike most pay-per-view bars, there's no cover charge. And drink specials too, like $3 select domestic beers and more. And if you enjoy international soccer, Seventh Hill opens early. $2 mimosas on Sundays, anyone? The Seventh Hill Tap Room, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Just downstairs from Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. Your Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3 in Tallahassee.
NFL football, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go to 6-2. They beat the New Orleans Saints 23-3. This is really a game where defense led the way. Anthony Nelson had an interception for a touchdown to go with a forced fumble and 2 sacks. Antoine Winfield Jr. recovered a fumble and intercepted a pass, and the Buccaneers forced 4 turnovers. Baker Mayfield not asked to do much. 15-24, 152 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. The Buccaneers take their 6-2 record into a Week 9 bye, and then they're going to host New England coming up on November 9th. The Dolphins get their first win of the year, defeating the Atlanta Falcons 34-10 as Tua Tagovailoa threw 4 touchdowns. Dolphins have the Thursday nighter against Baltimore. This Sports Flash is presented by Progressive. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo insurance and save with Progressive. I'm Matt Pauley on Real Talk 93.3.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those dark leaks. Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
What do you need tires on? Your car or truck, tractor, or heavy equipment? At Nice Tire and Auto Service, we have tires for all of these needs. And we service your vehicle from air conditioning and computerized alignment to oil changes and everything else under the hood. Call Nice Tire and Auto today at 574-4100. That's 574-4100 for your scheduled maintenance. National accounts welcome at Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
Feeling sluggish? Wake up your body the right way with Vigor. The all-new Vigor Cold Plunge Tub from Hot Spring Spas is now available exclusively at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas in Tallahassee. Boost circulation, reduce inflammation, sharpen your focus, and more. Elite athletes do it daily, and now you can too. Experience the power of cold therapy in your own home. Come see the Vigor Cold Plunge, available only at Pinch a Penny on Capitol Circle Northeast and Greer Road.
Tired of watching baseball score updates on your phone? Get off the bench and head to the CP. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill is your home for all MLB games in-state or nationwide. Enjoy the coldest drinks, Tallahassee's best wings, and watch your team in crystal clear comfort. And if you like to compete, come by Tuesday nights for CP Trivia and Thursday nights for Beer Bingo, where you can walk home with cold, hard cash. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
This October,
Tallahassee Marzook Shrine Haunted House returns. At 1805 North Monroe Street. Step inside for spine-chilling thrills, twisted corridors, and surprises waiting in every shadow. It's the perfect holiday adventure for you and your friends. Come test your courage and see if you can make it all the way through. The haunted house is open on select days in October, so check the schedule and don't miss out. Proceeds benefit the Marzook Shrine and their important work in our community. That's the Marzook Shrine Haunted House, 1805 North Monroe Street. Enter if you dare.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The outlook for Saturday. Hope I'm wrong. Every time they suit up, every time they take the field, every time they strap on that helmet and lace those cleats, I say, oh, well, I want them to win. I want them to win. I just hate this feeling of somewhat indifference. Tom and I were just talking about it right now, just this sort of like we're killing time. Not he and I on the show, but just Florida State football, just killing time. And it is no way to be. That's no way when you only get 12 of these a year. Playing out the string ain't cool. Playing out the string is not what you do. Happens from time to time, but it's less than ideal, and it certainly doesn't inspire. And that's the way you woke up today thinking about a home game this Saturday, prime time on the ACC network. Meanwhile, I think for a lot of people looking around college football, seeing LSU fire Brian Kelly, the week after Florida fired Billy Napier, the week after Penn State fired James Franklin, you're made to feel a little lesser than, and that you're suffering from FOMO. Are you missing out? What's it say about your program? Where's the program at? What's the plan, man? I refuse to believe there's no plan. I've got a lot of that. There's been a lot of sort of backlash to the intimation that there is no plan, or that there doesn't appear to be one that is being executed currently. And that is tough for Florida State fans at this point to take. Tough to stomach. It's tough to distract yourself and turn your attention to an exhibition baseball game, even one where you say, well, I'm excited about baseball, and it's good to club the ball the way they did against UAB, and that's cool. Miles Bailey homered. That's cool. Awesome to watch Charlie Ward get his number retired and to see an exhibition game, and Florida State wins that comfortably. And it's nice to have Florida State and FAMU face each other for the first time in 34 years. That's cool. That's good. But you can't latch on to anything right now that excites you in the midst of football season or has as much fervor to it as you would a game that you would want to win or you think is important or seems to signal something of a path.
Glad to see that they found some money for Link, though, on Friday. That was good. some significant money for both he and his assistant pool, which is nice.
Well, I think that certainly that rumor had been out there. There was the talk that this was going to happen. You and I talked on Thursday, and I brought up the fact that Tennessee, that was an odd hire by the Giants, but they hired Tennessee's head baseball coach. And given the success Link had against Tennessee and how Florida State had been right there with them in the year that they won the national championship, the thought was that Tennessee certainly got a first-hand view of what a good coach can do, and maybe they would come calling. And if not Tennessee, how soon do somebody else in the SEC deciding that they've got more money than they know how to spend, and they throw it at Link Jarrett? So you better take care of a guy who I think certainly has already proven himself very quickly at Florida State, and he's one of our own. Good to see it. Agreed. But these right now, while serving as perhaps positive things in the world of Florida State athletics, they're not what carry the day. When you're in football season, football carries the day. And when you've lost 4 straight games to Virginia, Miami, Pitt, and Stanford, and you have an off week, you have chances and opportunities to ruminate about that and what it all means and where you're at and what's this program going to do, and do we get some answers? Well, you don't get any answers right now because you were told by the administration that they're going to assess all of this at the end of the year. But we just assessed. We just assessed at the end of 2 and 10.
It'll be interesting, and it was Thursday for the Link thing, but it'll be interesting to see if, and to hear afterwards, if, let's just say that they made a decision they don't want to share with us, and it's that they do want to make the change. I mean, there are some people over in that building that believe that this is going to happen. It's
I still believe it's going to happen. Yes.
Right. But they don't want to do it now for whatever reason. Would that mean that you would direct, as a leader of the program, those that are in charge of rev share negotiations to discuss with current commits outside of the framework of the head coach that, hey, hang tight with us. That number we promised you, whoever the new guy is, that number's there for you. Don't you worry. In this day and age where everything is so different and you have to think up protocols that nobody imagined in history. Saw an article this morning already. LSU hasn't lost any recruits since the announcement yesterday.
They're waiting to see.
They added one, actually, in the last 24 hours.
Well, LSU kind of recruits itself, but yeah.
It does, but that also means that somebody outside of the Brian Kelly framework is talking and making sure that they have players in tow. And that when this news goes down, hey, don't panic. We're going to find a great new guy. He's going to talk to you. You're going to see if there's a fit. But don't you worry. Just hang tight. Don't decommit. The money's good for you. I wonder if that's something that they might not have had a decision made already. They might not have made one yet. But if they did, do they have a protocol in place where they can make sure that if they want to wait till after the Florida game's over, that Wednesday, when early signing period begins and opens, that those kids will continue and they'll look at that rev share agreement and say yes. I know there's a couple of kids that said, I'm a Florida State fan. I'm coming to Florida State. Chauncey Kennon's one of them. He's a 5-star. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Thank you, Chauncey.
We got more of those Chaunceys out there?
Not many.
Right.
I doubt it.
So how do you make sure that they stick if you can?
Well, and obviously, every time a coach gets fired at a high-profile job, you're left wondering, okay, is that now a position that's going to go to one of the candidates that we want? But we're not even close to being done. I mean, Jonathan Smith at Michigan State is going to be fired. And we like Jonathan.
He was there for 10 minutes.
Well, they're going to fire him. They suck. They're awful at Michigan State. And everything I read out of East Lansing is they're done with him. I mean, they were yelling at him over the weekend. And they were within a score against Michigan. They had a chance in that second half and then, fell to pieces. They got called for offsides, and on a call it was questionable. And then 2 plays later, Michigan scored, and you're like, well, that's your ball game. But so he's going to get fired. Luke Fickell's going to get fired at Wisconsin. Bill Belichick, who knows if he's back for year 2 at North Carolina. It's not that big of a job, but it is a job. And it is a Power 4 job, and
But it is a job.
It is. Well, I mean, it's a Power 4 job, and they may go after somebody that would be in the candidate pool for us, right? I mean, people believe North Carolina. They've long believed North Carolina would be some sort of sleeping giant at some point, especially if they're poised to get into either the Big Ten or the SEC, in the same way that Florida State is poised to get into the Big Ten or the SEC. Now, Florida State's the bigger brand by far, but Carolina, in some circles, is still considered to be a very good job because of what it could be. Anyhow, Mark Stoops is going to get fired at Kentucky in all likelihood. There's another job that's going to come available. And we're looking at it from the vantage point of Florida State fandom, but if you're looking at it from afar at you're just taking a 5,000 foot view of the college football world and how crazy it is right now. You're including Florida State in the discussion. You're saying, well, Mike Norvell is going to get fired too. There's another job to add to the bevy of big-time Power 4 jobs, Power 2 jobs. So we don't think they're done. Auburn's probably firing their coach. We can keep going.
I know that everybody is promising that North Carolina is this thing that could take off and go to another echelon. This weekend, I tune in. Finally, in the second half, I said, okay, I give in. I will see what's going on in Chapel Hill because this game is interesting and North Carolina holds a lead or whatever. It's tied late. And I want to see, it's a big possession for Virginia. Virginia's got the ball. Like, all right, let's see how engaged the crowd is. Here's the sound of the crowd. It's not, I don't have a sound bite. This is just how loud it was. Oh, it's that. And it's like 3rd and 6. You could get off the field, have a chance to ice the game away, score that massive upset. It sounded like there was one dude in the stands.
Yeah, because they lose every week. They're all done.
I know we're supposed to get loud right now, but nobody else will. So I'm just gonna go.
I just don't have it in.
I got a conversational cheer. Oh, like that's it. That's all they had.
Meanwhile, I was over here last week. I think sending this to you.
Cameron back it up inside the 30. Cameron with the dance moves. Cameron with the whole damn floor by himself. The punter got the stiff arm. Cameron sideline.
We got to use it.
Got the whole dance floor.
Got Cameron over and over again. Yeah, guys. Cameron with the stiff arm. I'm like, there it is, buddy. Keep going. Cameron had himself a day. It was a hell of a return, Tom. If I recall, there was a flag down at the end of the play. It ruined the call. And then they were like, oh, it's going to stand. It's on the defense. Yeah, it was on the kicking team. But, yeah, man, that's going to be us on Saturday. You're going to have that one over the top, overly caffeinated or overserved individual that, come on,
hey,
it's 3rd down.
That's what what an espresso martini is, right? So it could be a few of those. I can recall last year, though, that's not necessarily going to be the case that we'll have a dead atmosphere. And this is why it pains me what the fans are having to go through right now. Remember last year's game against North Carolina, the one in which we said before the week started, before the game was kicked off, that Amarian Hampton is a truth serum player.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Find out if you're invested or not. And we did have a series. In fact, I think Shaheem Brown played pretty hard that day. I can recall because it was, it stood out. And Omarion ended up going for big numbers, and it was 35-11 was the final of that game. I just looked it up. I felt so bad that day because the atmosphere was awesome pregame. There's no reason to be. I mean, that 2-10, we were on the path. We knew what we were and what we weren't.
Yes, we did.
And the people showed up, and they were loud as hell, and they were pulling so hard.
FSU fans are awesome fans. Florida State fans are great fans, and it is a brutal existence currently. If you are our enemy and you hate Florida State, you are in heady times. These are the salad days for you because you get to sit back and watch the torment, the frustration, the angst, the extreme frustration and anger that every Florida State fan feels for being put in this position yet again after they've ponied up both emotionally and financially time and again. They've committed huge percentages of their annual income to their commitment to Florida State as a season ticket holder. They were asked to upgrade in order to hold on to their tickets. They have time and again invested in every way that a fan possibly can in the hopes that one of the things that brings them great joy will come to life yet again. And I feel terrible for Florida State fans everywhere. We're all in this together, walking into that stadium bereft of hope yet again. And it sucks to be walking into a stadium this Saturday against Wake Forest, knowing that that result in the big scheme of things doesn't really matter. That the guy at the helm who's owed all of that money isn't the one. And that whether it's this Saturday, next Saturday, the Saturday after, or the end of the year, he's going to have to be replaced. In the interim, serious programs, big boy programs, are firing their coaches left and right. And you're left in limbo to wonder, do we have the means? And if not, what does that say about who we are? That we're not even on the same plane as the big-time programs around the country who endeavor to win national championships, conference titles, make playoff appearances? These are the things you're left to ponder every week that goes by where something hasn't changed of significance. You're left wondering just where do we sit in the hierarchy of big-time college football programs. I hate it for everybody. And it's dangerous. It's a dangerous time because it does lend itself towards a period of apathy that sets in. I remember going back towards the end of the Bobby Bowden era when it was evident that Florida State was not annually going to compete for the kinds of things that they wanted to compete for, that we expected as fans, boosters, and alumni. That Bobby Bowden had been successful at providing for a very long time until he wasn't. And then it became less of an argument and more of a sad situation that they were forced to maneuver. And you couldn't, you had pockets of people who said, well, you can just stay here as long as he wants. Others that said, no, just because you built it, you can't tear it down. We've got to do this, this, and this. And, the fans were arguing amongst each other and the black shirts and everything else.
Oh, yeah, that was me.
Yeah. So all of that was happening, and I was documenting that. And I hated that. And I remember being mocked by the national commentators who looked at college football and said, well, how dare they down in Tallahassee? And then the very same guys that would say, how dare they down in Tallahassee, would spend a 5-minute segment on the recap segment making fun of Florida State's poor play and wonder why it was that folks in Tallahassee wanted more. It's a terrible set of circumstances. It's part of being a big-time college football program and being invested, but you never wondered whether or not Florida State was in a position to compete at a high level. And when you're in this kind of limbo, you wonder, are they? Are they? Scary. It's a scary time. I think a lot of folks are nervous about what this represents, what this means. The inaction causes the consternation.
Well, and that's where you'd say the coaching community would take notice of the situation that they're walking into. You're eliminating a large pool of candidates that would consider Florida State if that's the message that they're perceiving as being sent right now. The other thing that you're sending a message to, the other area you're sending it to, are conference commissioners and network executives about the viability of what you are. I honestly don't believe that the win-loss record affects Florida State's standing in terms of brand power. The ratings are still the ratings. Yeah. I mean, look at these numbers. They're massive for Florida State.
Yeah.
But if you show signs that in a moment like this that you need to make a move, but you don't have the money to make the move, because I see out there a lot of people saying, Tom, enough already. They don't have the money. Well, okay, let's just say you're right for a moment. You don't think maybe an ESPN executive or a Fox executive looks at that and says, they don't have the money?
Oh, the thing of it is, again, I think that if you're moving towards a super league or a Super 2 or a Fox Disney Super 2 and television contract, Florida State's in it, regardless of what happens. But I understand what you're saying. You certainly aren't doing yourself any favors.
They make the cut. You're just allowing for that conversation to happen where it never needed to.
Yeah, you're certainly not putting your best foot forward, and you're not leveraging yourself in a way that you'd like.
That's the one good thing about getting flexed into the Clemson game at 7 o'clock. If you haven't seen yet, Florida State primetime again next week on the road at Clemson, ESPN.
Better buckle up and care. Better have this thing ready to roll.
But you're going to get better numbers than you would otherwise. And so that does mean more dollars for the university. You have to look at those decisions a little bit differently now, which is, I hate that we're prime time when we suck, but you know what? We get some ROI, which is good.
Yeah, we do.
Which this administration did go secure for us.
Troy Knoll, good to see you being a member for 8 months. I've just now checked the chat, just now saw the starred contributions. Appreciate you, Troy Knoll. James B., back to our discussion last hour, said, Jeff, do you remember when we thought Kelly had actually turned a corner? Yeah, that was after that awful 4-8 season, and they did the Sports Illustrated spread on him becoming basically a Zen Buddhist. was hanging out with folks and changing his diet and doing yoga and meeting with the team every morning and asking guys to comment. Yeah, I do remember that. He actually followed it up with a great season.
Well, he did turn a corner.
He did.
He found another corner.
Yeah, well, he found one that tripled his salary.
Yeah, but then he found another corner and turned around that one. And
Well, that's the point, right? The guy can be an accomplished, good coach and turn around and have failings. It's what makes you concerned. Colby says, 0 interest in the team we put out there Saturday, but we can at least look good or terrible. Turquoise uniform Saturday? ? I don't know. Is that been announced?
It was highly speculated, if not announced, that for a Heritage Weekend, which this is,
right,
that we would actually don those for the first time in program history. I think
tough to do so after losing 4 straight.
Even if you'd committed to doing that, I think you might want
to rethink.
We're going to hold
Let's
off
go
on
with
that
the
one.
classic.
Yeah.
Jacob says, I'm going to Clemson. Does that qualify for a Cat 5? Buddy, let somebody else drive. Let somebody else drive, and you begin to imbibe and have a good time in the very distant tailgate parking lots at Clemson.
Yeah, that's very true. Got to climb up that hill. There's your climb.
Climbing up that hill.
Also, I like his last name is Bean. I think if I could have Bean is just a weird and fun.
You like that last name,
Yeah.
do you?
Bean.
Kalen, good to see you. We have had you contributing to the show for years and years and years. Good to see you become a YouTube member. Tom writes, my Hard Rock account will continue to climb this week with another heavy opponent money line wager. If I have to watch us lose again, I might as well get paid. Sigh. Tom, I want to let you know something. I have a dear friend, a Florida State alumnus, a diehard Nole in every way, who every Saturday sends me his wager with Hard Rock on the opposing team money line against FSU. After we lost to Virginia, he's done it every week, including last week against Stanford money line. I wrote back, you son of a bitch. He's like, hey, man, I don't believe in him and I don't believe in us. We're going to lose and I'm going to get paid. Damn it, man. And there I am watching the fourth quarter going, unbelievable.
Got some good odds.
Unbelievable. Jags and Knowles, all of these big-time head coaching jobs opening up. What are your thoughts on sticking out 1 year interim head coach and reassess after 26? With all is what that was supposed to be. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like an interim head coach. I don't believe in anybody that we would make an interim head coach currently on the staff. So, no, man, no. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off and let's go.
A lot of people love to do the either or. You only have 2 options game between Mike and Jimbo. That's what's going on everywhere right now. So Jimbo. Well, he's better than Mike. Like, well, yeah,
no, man.
Old breadsticks from Olive Garden right now might get a little bit more out of this group. But I would tell you that if you gave me the choice.
Have you heard the pitch? Have you heard the pitch from the old breadsticks?
It's the breadstick bandit himself.
Unbelievable.
If you gave me a choice of elevate somebody from within or keep everybody together, and you only could choose one of those two, you elevate somebody from within.
Yeah, no, I get it. I hate it. It wouldn't do anything for me. It wouldn't be a shot in the arm. I wouldn't feel any better about the set of circumstances. Fine, you can do it.
He thought he was fired after the game.
Oh,
he
absolutely
you
thought
don't
he was
think they
fired.
can smell that in the locker room?
Oh,
the first team meeting?
I think he thought he was fired not just right after that game. I think he thought he was fired when he was addressing the media.
Wednesday.
Yeah, I think he thought he was fired then. I think he knows he's fired regardless.
Yeah, you can't let that guy run back in the locker room. All right. Good morning.
I suspect I don't believe that's happening. I don't believe that's still happening. I don't think that he's like another day of the climb.
Oh, you mean that part? Yeah, all that stuff.
No, I don't think that.
I'm just saying the whole retaining for another year thing. Isn't it at least fair? You're the purveyor of this, so you get to be the judge. 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to you at the building. Are you going to do this thing? Are we moving on?
I get why everybody is scared to death that's absolutely is what's happening. That's what's happening in their minds. That's what's happening amongst this fan base. That's what everybody's looking at and saying, are you kidding me? But I don't believe that's happening, but I get why you'd think that. They've allowed for the idea of it. Pitch a Penny Pools and Spas, everything you need for pool maintenance, chemicals, cleaners, pumps, vacuums, nets, covers, you name it, they've got it. And we all know they have the largest selection of premium hot springs hot tubs in the entire city, which you can easily finance. Now they have the cold plunge tubs to boot. All right. But if you have an older hot tub, for example, and you've been putting off upgrading because you just don't want to deal with the hassle of getting rid of said old hot tub and having it hauled away, Pitch Penny Pools and Spas has a solution for that, too. They'll come get that bad boy, give you money towards your next one. Or a cold plunge tub. There it is. Pitch Penny Pools and Spas. If you're ready to relax, they're ready to show you how.
Hey, everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 373031.
Can we talk about the most important things in your life? Your family, your friends, your home, and enjoying the time you spend together. You sure don't want to have to think about whether everybody's going to be comfortable. You want Tony Kelly to make sure everybody's comfortable. That's what Tony Kelly does, and that's what's most important for the entire Tony Kelly team. Their prompt, professional service and attention to detail, they're famous for it. Focus on what's most important to you and let Tony Kelly Heating and Air keep everybody comfortable.
Stay comfortable and stay focused on the most important things with Tony Kelly Heating and Air, committed to serving you and your family with exceptional service, skilled technicians, and reliable high-quality work. Go to TonyKellyInc.com to find their full range of HVAC services, including repairs, installations, inspections, and maintenance. TonyKellyInc.com or call 850-385-3774.
From the team behind Mac and More Systems comes IOWise, Tallahassee's trusted source for IT services. Protect your business with 24/7 cybersecurity, managed IT support, cloud storage solutions, network design, voice over IP phone systems, expert tech counseling, and more. Whether your business is growing fast or just getting started, IOWise keeps your systems running smoothly and securely. Local service, big solutions. Visit iowise.com today and work wiser with IOWise.
Budget Blinds of Tallahassee is your local window covering experts. They do it all: blinds, shades, drapery, shutters, even home automation. And they'll be there with you from the design to the measuring to the installation. Budget Blinds is with you every step of the way.
Hello, I'm Gary, the local owner of Budget Blinds of Tallahassee. Let us help you with your unique window treatment needs. Call us at 668-4835 for a free in-home consultation, or find us online at budgetblinds.com/Tallahassee.
Honey, what are these mushrooms in our yard? Portobello?
Huh. Let me take a look. Oh,
Shiitake.
I don't know, but our septic system is failing, and our whole yard smells like.
Should we try to cook these up and eat them tonight?
This is bad, Sheila.
Well, we better fix it soon, or we're going to be in deep.
Sheila, look. It's Crud Septic. Our prayers are answered.
Call Crud Septic Service today. Pump outs, installs, repairs, crudseptic.com. That's crudseptic.com.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Rolling on Big River Monday. Not exactly enthusiastic currently, but nonetheless, they are going to play a game Saturday. I sure hope they win it. Be interesting to see what they look like on Saturday evening, homecoming. Let's hope that stadium is packed. I suspect it will be, Tom. I think we're going to have a full house.
Reward the people, please.
Go out and play well. Go out and play well. Irashfel, Warchant.com, joins us every Monday. I always like that conversation. We're going to do it right now. Hello, Ira. How are you, brother?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you doing?
I'm miffed. I'm all right, but I'm with the people. I'm miffed. I was hoping I'd wake up and feel a certain way about Saturday, and I just don't. And that ain't good for business. It is a curious time. I guess, first and foremost, pretty cool that you were in the house to see Florida State and FAMU, and for Charlie Ward to have the number retired. I had the good fortune of talking to Charlie about this a couple weeks back, and while he is as humble as they come, I could tell he was delighted. Nice moment in time, something for all Florida State fans everywhere to celebrate.
Yeah, it was awesome. I thought the whole day was awesome. And, there was a lot of, I think behind the scenes there have been a lot of people inside the program and probably at both programs, Florida State and FAMU, who were reluctant to play basketball after what happened in 1991. And so it was cool not only to retire his jersey, which was awesome, but that could have happened anytime. I think it was also cool to, that the two teams played again and prove that they can play against each other and not have any incidents. And I think both coaches, it means a lot to both of them to have basketball, be put on a display in this community. And it's a great way to do it, to have them play. It was only an exhibition, but I thought it was good for both programs. And I thought it was cool to see just a lot of FSU and FAMU fans in the stands. They have been playing in women's basketball. They play in softball.
Yep.
They do play in some other sports. But, you're going to get the biggest crowds for football and men's basketball. So it was cool to see a crowd with that many FAMU fans and that many FSU fans. And it was just, I thought it was really a cool day.
I did too. And I will say, Luke's comment, this isn't me against Charlie. This is celebrating Tallahassee and what a special town it is for basketball. Yep, we're trying to see both these programs rise up and do something and become more commonplace in the postseason, in their respective conferences and in the tournament. So hopefully this is the start of something pretty special. Obviously, Florida State went on to wear down Florida A&M 88-54. All right, on to football. Where's your head at as we get set for Saturday night at Doak, where obviously a lot of oomph has been taken out of the sails for Florida State fans everywhere, and the frustration grows. You and I really haven't had a chance to talk. You went to the West Coast to cover the game against Stanford and stayed over, rightfully so, during the bye week for a couple of days after, but a lot of frustration on the heels of that really, in my mind, hasn't resided amongst the fan base. A lot of anger continues to well up to the surface. I wonder what Saturday's going to look like. What are your thoughts as we get set for this, the rest of this week?
Yeah, I think I'm probably in the same ballpark as most people where I think after the Pitt game, I was at the point where I'm like, okay, this isn't going well. This probably is not going to end well for Florida State and Mike Norvell. And then when you see the Stanford game, it just kind of cemented that. I don't see how they turn this around. I just don't see any scenario where this team just kind of rallies together and unites to turn the corner. That's what you see sometimes. If you look at different coaching situations at different schools through the years, where a coach somehow gets a spark and the guys rally around them and they finish the season strong. And now the administration's in a tough spot. Like, what do you do? Do you make the change or do you stay? I just don't see a scenario where that happens. I think this team is is just done. They look to be done. We'll see. Maybe they compete against Wake Forest. I know they're favored. I would not bet a whole lot of money on that one. But I just think it's so from that standpoint. I think it sucks, man. It sucks too. And I know you talked about it some on the show earlier, just that, you hoped that Mike Norvell was the guy 2 years ago. And it turns out he's not going to end up being the guy. And if that's the case, now you got to roll the dice with somebody else. And there are no guarantees. And that stinks. It's not a good place to be in. And we can argue about whether or not they should have fired him last week or not. But the end of the day, the bigger story is, it didn't work out with Mike Norvell, and now you got to go back in that pool and hope for the best. And I haven't seen any school that's batting 1,000 at hiring coaches other than maybe Wake Forest. Apparently, Wake Forest is never going to hire a bad coach. They're going to just have good coaches till the end of time. But everybody else seems to swing and miss occasionally, and so that standpoint, it's not good. It's besides the money, you just there's the uncertainty of not knowing what the next guy's going to bring.
Well, Ira, give me your opinion. I know you've written and you wrote a really long piece that was outstanding on Warchant.com. Folks can find it and go back. You have an idea about what you think the future should look like in terms of administrations and athletic departments not being held hostage to these crazy numbers and lengthy buyouts, and especially because I think we're watching a change in the world of college football right now. I don't think we're going down that road that we went down for so many years, where you have these iconic coaches that command crazy salaries in the race to get one of these guys that then help you recruit on its face because you have this iconic figure as a coach. What do you think they ought to be doing and or messaging at this point?
Well, I think when it comes to that topic, I do wish there's a way that, Florida State in particular, that's the school we all care about, can find a way to get off of this train, of this roller coaster of just saying, we're going to throw crazy money at this and we're going to commit crazy money at a coach because that's what everybody else is doing and that's what you have to do. I just don't, I know it's easier said than done to say, like, let's go and look for a more affordable option and kind of reset. But that's what, and I haven't written this yet, but that is one thing I'm going to write probably in the next week of, as they make this decision of what they're going to do. I do not believe this Florida State's in a situation, really, I'm not sure anybody is, but certainly not Florida State, to just say, okay, change head coaches and everything's going to take care of itself. I just don't believe that. And I think there's a lot of really good coaches out there. And I think my perception or my belief would be to look at it more like a business would look at it and say, okay, let's find a leader that can lead our program right now in the short term. And let's really, really assess, not just kind of, talk about assessing where we're at, but really look at every aspect of your program and decide what needs to change and what needs to be like the programs that are successful. What are we not doing that other teams or other schools are doing? And the reason I say that is, then this goes back 9 years now. 2017 was an awful, awful season. And part of that was because Jimbo checked out. But, they were 2-5. They had just gotten blown out by Boston College. That program was going into the side of a mountain. He ended up salvaging a few wins late that season. Then he leaves to Texas A&M. They never really recovered except for that one window of 19 games for Mike Norvell. But everything else has been bad. So to me, to say, okay, we just got to keep rolling the dice until we find the right head coach, I don't think that's the answer. I think they need to look at everything in their athletics department and their football program and how they do everything that they do. And the problem is you don't have the luxury of time to do that. You can't just stop the calendar. You can't stop the clock and say, okay, we need to reset. But I do think you could maybe hire somebody that's not going to force you to break the bank, not get in the sweepstakes for the Lane Kiffins of the world and those guys. And because I don't know that that's going to be the solution, especially because there's no guarantees. So I would look at hiring somebody that's a little bit more fiscally, that makes more sense fiscally, that doesn't stretch you to the extent that other maybe schools are willing to do right now, because you do have this a couple-year window before the landscape changes again. I'm not saying hire somebody who can't coach. Hire a good coach, but maybe not the biggest name possible, and set the expectations to your fan base that, listen, we are reevaluating everything because we think the landscape is going to shift in a couple of years, and we want to be positioned for that. We're not just trying to just trying to put paint on it and try to flip this house. We're trying to rebuild what we do. We think that's necessary, and then get serious about that work. That's my dream scenario. Whether or not it's possible, whether or not fans will buy into that is a whole nother story.
To your point, that year in 2017, for those don't remember, Florida State went 3-5 in the ACC. You got to cover the Independence Bowl that year, Ira. I'm sure you remember. What a big year that was. 7-6 was.
They rallied to make the Independence.
That's right, they did. 7-6 was the overall record. Fisher left with a losing record though. At the end of that year, Willie Taggart came in, went 5-7 and 6-7. Then Mike Norvell 3-6, 5-7, then 10-3, 13-1, 2-10, and currently 3-4. So to your point, we've been in hell. We have been in hell for a very long time outside of a really small window. And it sucks. And it is really difficult to stomach. I wonder, do you have an opinion right now on a timeline? I know that they released a statement that they will reassess at the end of the year. I think they're constantly reassessing. What do you think would precipitate maybe a sped up timeline, if that's possible?
Well, I mean, listen, man, think about that statement. How many people you think looked at that statement before it was put out?
It didn't look like anybody did.
Well, I think the problem there is too many people.
Yeah.
If you listen to people who've been speech writers for politicians, like if you ever hear the guys who've been speech writers for presidents, for State of the Union addresses and things like that, the first draft may be great, but after it goes to every other department and agency who wants their say, now the whole thing gets muddied and I just think that there was a lot of people looking at that statement. I think there was a lot of debate whether or not to make a statement, what kind of statement to make, and then how to word it. And if you look at the wording of the statement, it says they're going to reassess the football they're going to assess the football program at the end of the year. That doesn't say anything about Mike Norvell at the end of the year. And people leapt to the conclusion that this meant that Mike Norvell is definitely going to be here until the end of the year, and then they're going to assess things. I just don't think that's what I think that's purposefully not in the statement. I'm not saying he's going to be fired this week or next week, or I just think that they are trying to leave their options open because I think they're working behind the scenes on what they're going to do. And I still don't really know. And I know that, you guys, and certainly Tom, I know where Tom stands on this, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it on the Smash tonight, but I still am not exactly sure what the great benefit to firing him last week is, other than getting a pound of flesh for the fans, and to maybe signifying that you are making a change. But at the end of the day, I think they're working on it right now, trying to figure exactly what they're going to do. And they would be doing that whether or not Mike Norvell was unemployed or not.
How uncomfortable is it to have to ask him questions every time he's made available, because he sounds like a dead man walking and somebody who knows it?
Well, it's not uncomfortable. It's just, we're all just kind of playing our roles at this point. Like, I think he was trying to put on a brave face today. He was much more trying to make eye contact and trying to talk a little bit more forcefully. I think he's doing everything he can to play the role of a coach who still ostensibly wants to keep his job. But if you look at the words and listen to actually what he's saying, there's just not much substance there. And because of where they are, this is where they are. They're in this kind of purgatory, and we have to go to the press conference, and we're going to write stories. I'm going to write stories about Wake Forest. We'll do a matchup piece. But so we all have to play our role. Yeah, no, in the big picture, it does feel like we're all just playing out the string, but that's just kind of, I think, what we have to do.
I think I was on the last Warchant report. It's somebody else's turn.
You got to deal with that on that one, buddy.
Be well, brother. I'll talk to you tomorrow, and obviously we'll watch you on the Smash tonight. Take care.
Thanks, Chef Steven.
Yeah, take care. That's Ira. Whew, man. Yeah. I hope your text is coming to you, buddy. I love you, Aslan. Send that text to Tommy Lang, Corey Clark, Ira Chaffel, Matt Lasser, somebody else. I ain't got nothing else to say about this mess. Makes it tough to do a 3-hour show every day looking at this dumpster fire and the bubbling up of anger by the minute.
Well, then there's the part of looking at the game and
break it down. Let's break down the game, everybody.
Well, and Tommy's status is up in the air from a health standpoint. Like, right, exactly. Tommy probably wasn't going to be able to play last Saturday, but he looked pretty good towards the end of the bye week. So we'll see where it is as the week goes along.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see where it is, guys. We'll see where it is.
Make sure I hit that F5 on Thursday around 8 p.m. on the ACC page to see if he's questionable, probable, or has no designation.
My friends at Tried and True Consulting also making waves in the city of Tallahassee. More businesses jumping on board. Obviously, anytime you get them on board with your business, they're saving you money, keeping you safe. This is payments and business processing solutions company. This is what they do, and they're owned by fellow Knowles. And I'm glad that we partnered up. They give back 10% of their net revenue to the Battle's End. And now I know of businesses that have jumped on board with them and reporting back to us, just like our friends at loansforknowles.com, Shannon Young. Same's happening for Tried and True, where the folks that have gone with them have said, I'm saving money. I'm safe from all kinds of mitigating factors that had me nervous before because of the way that they process and the money back guarantee. If people run out on you and all the good stuff, Tried and True Consulting, give them a call today, if you will, 844-464-6653. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with a slight chance of rain showers. Highs level off around 78, northerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected again tonight, lows level off around 59. Daytime highs approaching 71 tomorrow. Cloudy skies expected. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 71 degrees.
See Nice Tire and Auto Service at 4792 Bluntstown Highway today. The ASE trained technicians at Nice take the guesswork out of fixing your car. That's why wherever you see the Goodyear sign, you'll find what you want in tires and service. From preventative maintenance to a major overhaul and everything in between, you name it. Plus, Nice's services are backed by a nationwide limited warranty. Stop by Nice Tire and Auto Service. 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
Looking to upgrade your backyard, your business, or even your life? Then you've got to check out Southeast Portable Buildings right here in Tallahassee.
That's right. Southeast Portable Buildings has everything. Sheds, cabins, carports, and now beautiful decks to go with them.
Imagine a brand new storage building and a deck out front. Perfect for that morning coffee or for your family gatherings.
Need something custom? No problem. They'll work with you to find exactly what fits your needs. Big or small, simple or stylish.
And with easy financing options, you can make your dream space happen sooner than you think.
Southeast Portable Buildings, where you're not just getting a building, you're getting a lifestyle upgrade. Give our friends a call today, 850-580-6400. That's 850-580-6400.
Southeast Portable Buildings.
Big buildings.
Big decks.
Big dreams.
Southeast Portable Buildings on West Tennessee Street, just north of Capitol Circle in Tallahassee.
Hey, Jeff, what's up, buddy?
I was just thinking, they never tell you that when you grow up, one of the things that you'll miss are the games that you created with your friends in the neighborhood.
Oh, good days.
So I would have my buddy come over, and then we'd make up these games that were kind of like a hodgepodge of every game that you've ever played.
Kind of like the bikes we built.
Correct. Yes. And it's a grand experiment. In the beginning, nobody knows how to play the game, and you argue about what the rules are going to be. And in the end, everybody knows how to play the game. By the end of that summer, you know the rules, the neighborhood know the rules, and you play that game like it's the greatest game ever played.
And you still try to break the rules, right?
Oh, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But at the end, Eddie, you're never going to play it again, and you'll think about it the rest of your life.
And the best game you ever played was that game.
Never been a better one.
Hey, you want to have a Gordo Smash, Jeff?
I do. I'd like that. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation to have. It's going to be several of them, and I keep trying to wrap my mind around on a Monday. Do I think that I'm going to be watching Lambs Led to Slaughter on Saturday, that the team doesn't have fight left in it, is disconnected, doesn't care, goes through the motions, and gets blown out by Wake Forest? Is that the more likely scenario, or is the other scenario that They've got pride. They care. Don't want to put bad film out there. They're going to fight hard, and you're going to call plays, try to win a football game, and maybe you just have better players than Wake Forest, and it happens.
Yeah, the worry that I have is independent of the answers to those two questions would be, are you going to start a hobbled Tommy Castellanos?
I wouldn't. What's the point of that?
Is reluctant to run, is going to miss open throws.
Well, if he can't run, he's of no use to you.
Because that's how it spirals out of control, even if you have the best intentions in 10 other places on the offensive line, if you have the best of intentions in 11 places on defense, is you can't move the ball at all. And now you're stuck between a rock and a hard place because you don't want to pull your starter. But that is the on-the-ground 60-minute football conversation that, in a way, as annoying as that conversation would be and is, I'd rather have that. I wish we could in good faith, but there's this whole other elephant in the room that you just can't ignore, which is, does a loss to Wake somehow become the straw that breaks the camel's back versus the performance at Stanford, which was a clarion call for some sort of response?
Yeah, well, that was to Ira's point, right? That bottom line is they may have already made a decision on Mike. They're just trying to figure out exactly what they're doing.
And that's the debate tonight. He said that what's the benefit of doing it? And my question would be, what's the benefit of waiting if you were going to do it anyway? And it has to be money, right? Doesn't that have to be the reality here? Is that there's some sort of money element tied to it?
It kickstarts the cause. And I said that last week when we were having this debate. I was like, well, listen, Tom, there's probably something that happens that triggers that they don't want to trigger.
But the thing is, there's not exactly a lump sum like a Mark Stoops that anybody is aware of. So you were gonna make payroll and pay him anyway, unless there's something that happens in December where it lowers by a significant amount. But if you're structuring this buyout on the savings of $4 million spread across 5 years or 6 years, I don't know, man. Is that worth the squeeze? Because don't you owe it to the players in the locker room and the coaches underneath them to allow them to rip the Band-Aid off as well and give yourself a better chance of winning football games in the interim?
Yeah, I'm curious how much longer it goes on. I am curious to see if there's another negative result and they feel like that's the scraps that they have to give to the angry mob at the gates, right? The barbarians at the gates. Here you go. You got your bloodlust, your pound of flesh, as I referred to it as. Perhaps. I don't know what the benefit was. I assumed at the time, this must be something that triggers, and there's a money factor tied into this. So they're just going to wait. They have the bye week. They can further discuss the avenue they're going to use to come up with the money, and then perhaps what restructuring, as he just referenced, they need to do. That is an interesting thing. When you go back and look at the FSU seasons like he did when we were talking about this, you do have the 23-4 run, 19 straight wins in there of 22 and 23. But golly, it is surrounded by a sandwich of pure ass. It's 2-10. It's currently 3-4. It's 5-7. It's 3-6. It's 6-7. It's 5-7. And 7-6. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, maybe it's not slices of bread, but cheeks.
Just butt cheeks.
Couple of cheeks.
Just up in these butt cheeks is what we are with this sandwich. It is not ideal, unless that's your cup of tea. It ain't mine. No, sir.
This is just a much more expensive decision than the one of, well, I don't know if I want to end the relationship I'm in, and we might just need to get through the holidays. It's over, but we've already made plans.
Well, we're going to see her mom.
Yeah.
Depends on how much do you like her mom.
Maybe after New Year's, maybe it's just easier then.
Start fresh. It's a new year.
I think you would have enjoyed the holidays more if you just said, you know what, it's not working.
No. I had a big breakup way back when, right 2 days before Thanksgiving.
There you go.
2 days before Thanksgiving.
It's Black Tuesday.
And I remember going, I'm going to go have Thanksgiving dinner at a bar.
And were you happy?
Very.
There you go.
Yeah, it was This
is the same thing. It's just, there's $50 or $60 million extra that's tacked on top of it.
We could all go to the bar right about now. Final hour, forthcoming. Stay with.
I'll bring the beers.
It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
It's where you raise your kids, where friends become family, where every corner has a story worth telling. It's your neighborhood. At ABC 27, we share those stories. bringing you news that connects communities, builds pride, and reminds us we're part of something bigger. We are ABC 27, in your neighborhood.
Hey, this is for my homeowner friends out there. You know who you are. When you get your grass cut, you're going to inspect the work, make sure it's good. Get your house painted, check around every corner and edge, make sure that's done right. Get a new roof, get eyes on those shimmering new shingles. Get your septic tank cleaned. Bet you're not popping your head down in there to take a look around. You got to trust it's done right. I'll make it easy. Go see my friend Greg Miller, Miller Septic. They're my guys. I trust them, and you can too. MillerSeptic.com. That's it. That's the commercial. That's the whole thing. Check them out. That's MillerSeptic.com. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. Game day in Tallahassee starts with energy, and nothing fuels that spirit like Grassroots Coffee brand new End Zone Blend.
That's right. Every cup of End Zone Blend doesn't just taste incredible. It also supports our Florida State Seminoles football program.
Grassroots Coffee knows it's about commitment and being all in. Every sip of End Zone Blend helps push the program forward, supporting the grind and the climb.
So whether you're at home, have a business, or just getting fired up before kickoff, make End Zone Blend part of your game plan.
Support local and our favorite coffee roaster. Order Grassroots Coffee's End Zone Blend today at grassrootscoffee.com. And let's keep driving the Noles to victory.
It's that easy. Drink Grassroots Coffee and help support the Florida State Seminoles. And don't forget, you can get 15% off your first order at grassrootscoffee.com.
Grassroots Coffee's brand new End Zone Blend.
Grassroots Coffee.
Made for everyone.
Loved everywhere.
Love to compete on the dartboard? Then it's time to head to the CP. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill is Tallahassee's premier dart bar, featuring steel tip boards and soft tip internet play. The Corner Pocket hosts leagues and tournaments regularly. Just check out their social media to find a time that works for you. And in between games, grab a pint and a bite in the cool AC, or enjoy yourself outside on the deck. Whether you want to catch a game or start one of your own, the place to be is the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachie Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
WVFD Gretna, Tallahassee. This is Real Talk 93.3. More of the Jeff Cameron Show is coming up next. Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas.
Florida Gators play their first game since the firing of Billy Napier. It's the Georgia matchup at Everbank Stadium Saturday. The Bulldogs are the 7.5-point favorite, 50.5 the total. Baylor a 5.5-point favorite against UCF at McLean Stadium in Waco. Wake Forest visits Florida State. Seminoles laying 18.5, 51.5 the total at Doak Campbell Stadium. Monday Night Football in the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs are 10.5-point favorites at home with the Washington Commanders. The Chiefs have won 14 consecutive games as a home favorite. And the Jaguars Sunday 3-point road favorites at the Las Vegas Raiders. Score $500 in rewards at the GBank First Bet VSiN Trifecta. Details at vsin.com/GBank. For more sports betting news and information, go to vsin.com. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
Tempted to decorate for the holidays early? We like your style. Right now at Kohl's, save 20% on decor, hosting essentials, and more. Plus, get $10 off $50 spent. So go ahead, hang up that wreath, swap out those couch pillows for ones with snowflakes. And while others are panic shopping later, you'll already be cozied up feeling pretty great about these early Kohl's deals. Select styles, offers end November 2nd. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohls.com for details.
Remember when they used to ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? At Bank of America, we ask every day, what would you like the power to do? When you work here, you help build businesses, inspire communities, and forge legacies. And now we've raised our U.S. minimum wage to $25 an hour. So the opportunity to do more also comes with competitive pay. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/25. Bank of America, proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Florida man, you're all crooked again. What did you do to yourself this time?
Well, we were tailgating before the big game, and I had to defend Hank's honor. Some guy's arm wearing his gold chain and said, "Nice Gator fan." Can you believe that? Hank is a Seminole, thank you very much. But it all went downhill during Flip Cup. Hank was losing bad, and the guy starts heckling. He says, "Figures a Gator fan can't flip." The next thing I know, Hank's all over the table and going for the guy's throat. I tried to break it up. I grabbed the keg to end the chaos, and bam, my back went out like a lawn chair in a hurricane. I didn't even make it to the game.
Let me guess, Hank went without you.
Yep, stormed the field after the win.
At Finn Chiropractic, they'll get to the root of your pain and deliver the solutions. Book your appointment online at finnchiro.com, and you'll even get an online discount. Visit finnchiro.com today and find your path to a pain-free tomorrow.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
Pay-per-view fights can ring up big bills, especially since in the Octagon there is one every few weeks. That's why the Seventh Hill Tap Room right downstairs from Corner Pocket Bar and Grill carries every single fight. Plus, unlike most pay-per-view bars, there's no cover charge. And drink specials too, like $3 select domestic beers and more. And if you enjoy international soccer, Seventh Hill opens early. $2 mimosas on Sundays, anyone? The Seventh Hill Tap Room, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, just downstairs from Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Do it. Good to be back in the studio. Good to be back with you. Thanks for being here with us. We appreciate you. If you're listening on 93.3 Real Talk, you're listening to the Tallahassee's only locally owned and operated radio station. That's good on you. Good on you. Appreciate you doing that. Thanks for supporting Warchant.com, Warchant TV, all of the YouTube feeds that we have out there for you. Boy, I littered those feeds for a while there from Thursday on. It was just one video of me after the next. You're welcome. And then we have today, where we're, contemplating the future after yet another big name head coach was let go over the weekend. That was a funny way to watch that play out. Wasn't necessarily the intention after LSU's loss, but they brought him in and said, look, I don't like how this is going. Kind of sucking. What do you say we change the OC? No, I don't want to do it. I'll tell you what, if you fire him, let's fire these other two guys too. How about we fire your ass? And he said, all right. I'm about to make $53 million, and this, my friends, is a classic kiss my ass on Main Street moment. We've watched a lot of them over the years. It's a good one. So that gets us immediately into the whole discussion about who do you want? When's it going to happen? How are they going to do it? You want out of the rat race but still care deeply about being a big-time college football program? Well, I do. I think that's a yes. That's a resounding yes for all of us. And here's the troubling aspect of it. There are no guarantees, and you're going to have to fire this coach, so you're going to be hiring a new coach. So let's have the discussion. Who is it? Oregon State just fired their coach, by the way. That just took place, what? Was that today? That's today. That's right now.
Jonathan Smith reunion tour?
Hey, it was good here. We had a good thing. Then you went over there to East Lansing. Not a good thing. It was all wrong for you, baby. You know you loved it here in the Pacific Northwest. Come on home. We had it rolling. Maybe. So they fired him. And they have moved on, and we'll see what happens next. It's a tough gig, that Oregon State job is. But it's another job that's opened up. Yet another job. Allegedly power, sort of pseudo power something job. Funny when you start talking about candidates. This is a rabbit hole that is fun as a college football fan to go down. Are you keeping up? Are you taking inventory? Obviously, LSU, Brian Kelly, out. Peace. Have a good one. Names that have been mentioned already today. Lane Kiffin, first and foremost. Marcus Freeman. Why would you do it, Marcus? Stay at Notre Dame. You can win at Notre Dame. You're kicking ass at Notre Dame. No reason to leave Notre Dame. You seem right for Notre Dame. But he's a candidate. The other that I heard earlier this morning, Dan Lanning, Oregon. I don't think he leaves Oregon. Good. LSU's a really good job. Some say it may be the best job available. Would he do it?
Wow,
Maybe.
That would be something. It wouldn't stun me if Marcus Freeman was at least looking around, because at some point, every coach at Notre Dame says these academic standards, we got to stop with this.
Yeah, I don't think it's that way anymore, Tom. I think that Notre Dame team...
They brought it down a little bit?
Yeah, and I think the dispersion of talent that's making more, balance in the game, I think that's what you have at Notre Dame now. I mean, they've had really good players at Notre Dame for some time now, and I mean, look, Ohio State is the best in the game year over year. It seems there's no shame in losing to a team like that, but Notre Dame is really good. They got really good players. I think maybe you can win a national championship there currently. I think if Brian Kelly had recognized what was happening in college football at the time, he would not have left Notre Dame. He was successful at Notre Dame. He had reestablished his image and refurbished his image and begun to win football games again at an elite level. And he solely left because he didn't think that football was going to where it is now. And, he got paid handsomely. It didn't work out. He was a terrible fit at LSU in retrospect. And, he'll get another job somewhere, though. He didn't fail so spectacularly that he won't get another job. His failings are not similar to Mike's failings.
Well, that's the part of it. Yes, it's the adage of when Jimbo left here, why didn't he take so many more of his assistants? Because he knew that he needed to upgrade when he went to Texas A&M.
Yeah.
When you're looking at offset language and your LSU, and you're looking at offset language and your Penn State, a lot of that buyout, 53, 46, whatever these numbers end up totaling out to be, a lot of that is going to be offset by the next gig that is taken by James Franklin and Brian Kelly. Florida State also has offset language.
Nobody's calling Mike.
Well, what are you hoping for? I mean, I'm not talking about a job. I'm talking about comp. $1 million? $1.5 million? Like, what is a reasonable number? What would you set the over-under? Here's a flash report red zone for you. Yeah. First down, over-under $1.75 million annually that you're hoping for Mike Norvell's next contract if you let him go and you're hoping for mitigation.
Yeah.
Do you think it's realistic to go for $2 million a year? Or is it more likely that it's $1 to $1.5 million?
Yeah, probably that.
Yeah.
It hurts, buddy. It's funny. I was reading an article today, something we bring up all the time right now with this changing landscape and what you're looking for as you're out there on the market. You're back in the dating world, everybody. You're swiping pictures. Who you got? Who's the candidate? But they're talking about a slew of programs that are now, revenue sharing's era of new powers with Indiana, Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt. BYU is in the top 10. Think about this. Those are all top 10 teams. BYU, Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, Indiana. Indiana's number 2 in the country. It's something to behold.
It's an interesting thing. I see in the chat somebody says, Mike to Memphis. What if Silverfield took one of those open jobs? Would they welcome him back? They loved Mike Norvell at Memphis.
Yeah, but they didn't see him fail.
That's right.
Now they have.
Well, no, he just delivered Memphis another win when he was here. That's all he did. Always thinking about Memphis.
Thought it was interesting that Sarkisian had to address Texas players this weekend about his name being out there as a candidate to leave Texas. Now, look, man, I got to tell you, that can only mean one thing. The pros. There's zero chance you leave Texas for any job in college football unless you are an alumnus of, say, Michigan, Notre Dame, or somebody like that, and you just wanted to go home. But the resources, facilities, recruiting, you would never leave Texas for anywhere else. And you hear his name out there as rumored to perhaps being part of this coaching than anybody. He's got a background in the SEC, so maybe an SEC job, not likely yes. Lane, same thing, don't think it's happening. You know, you look at, I brought it up last week. Would you go after a young defensive mind, top-tier defensive coordinator on the rise like a Glenn Schumann? Is that somebody FSU would talk to? Penn State, meanwhile, who are the candidates? Well, allegedly Matt Campbell. Kurt Signetti was said to be a very strong candidate at the time, but Indiana locked him up. Matt Campbell has built up an Iowa State program to be about as good as they can be. Blue-collar, high character, hard-nosed, hard-hitting. Would he be a guy? His name's been mentioned. And then you always hear people bring up like a Dave Aranda or somebody like that. But look, there's the thought of a Pennsylvania native like Mike Vrabel. Nope, not going to leave the NFL to go to college, I wouldn't think. But you'll start hearing other names. What I do when I look at these names is I start saying, well, who's a guy that somebody would hire that they know isn't going to be a splash, but is very affordable, has done a great job of taking a program from nothing to something, and you would withstand the backlash of that hire because he's not sexy. Lance Leipold. Lost this weekend, unfortunately, and cost me some money, as I had Kansas beating Kansas State, but they didn't. But think about what he did. He's a methodical program builder. Kansas now matters in college football. It never had, outside of a snapshot in time with Fatty Fat Fat. So would Lance Leipold be a name? You'd say, well, Jeff, he's got no ties to the South. He's got connections to Nebraska. He's got no connections to the South. Hey, man, he went to Kansas and won games. He turned Kansas into a viable program that people show up to and believe can win 9-10 games every year.
I'm here for a lot of outside-the-box thinking, which would include a relatively low head coach's salary, but very rich coordinator salaries if they're stone cold killers on the trail and they have whatever the modern version is of a recruiting reputation that can help you with NIL. Like, say you had a $4.5 million head coach, but you had a couple of $2.5 million coordinators. I mean, why not at that point?
Depends on, I'm only paying them that kind of money if I know that they are heavy hitters, both as play callers and recruiters.
Sure, 100%. You wouldn't just do that because, not for your own health, but if you could find a way to signal to high schools in this footprint of the country that you are serious about that part of it, and you're saving on the head coach front, that's going to help you with rev share, indirect dollars that could maybe make their way towards a more robust NIL presence on top of the $18.5 or $19 million that you're spending in rev share. That might be the way to do it. My anger is not go get me the most expensive guy. We discussed this in the first hour. My anger is this guy is only doing pain and further damage to the program with every play that's called with him on the sideline.
You know what's funny is, like, I keep when I bring up all these names, I'm bringing up names that are popular right now, names that have achieved some level of success wherever they are. I don't care if it's, Ryan Silverfield that you just brought up at Memphis as a head coach. I don't care if you could bring up Cliff Kingsbury, who's currently the OC with the Washington Commanders, who wants to be a head coach again, maybe in college. That's the rumor. Bring in Cliff Kingsbury, good recruiter, really good offensive mind. Hell of a face for a program.
It would, I think that would cajole some dollars from people, but what's the going rate for Cliff? Does he have these outsized expectations about what he's going to get paid?
Would he be a fit, though, is the point. Like, when you do this, are you saying to yourself, like, I just know him, he's a name, he's produced some offenses? Or would you say, how about I look at Charles Huff? Charles Huff is currently the head coach at Marshall. What would I get from Charles Huff? Well, at a lower level, he's been a really good recruiter. He's a former Alabama assistant. Would Charles Huff be a good fit? This is what I'm saying. Like, those are the kind of guys you're going to hire somebody like that if you're not hiring one of the big names. Again, I'm not saying these are people Florida State is looking at. You go through the process. You're like, well, maybe I need to familiarize myself with Charles Huff. What would Charles Huff cost me? What would Alex Golish cost me? USF took it on the chin, blew a lead in the fourth quarter this week into Memphis, 17 points in the fourth. It's a toughie.
Buddy, that was a toughie.
That was brutal.
Yeah.
He's done really good things there.
And the penalty before the kick.
Yeah.
Man, that's no good. Because you effectively end Memphis hope right there if you win that game. Now, looks like you might have a part 2 on your hands between those two schools.
It does. But if they win a conference title and bring home hardware for USF's first ever conference title, that'd be a big damn deal.
Well, if you're that guy who's waving the pennant that says, Golish, you're saying, all right, actually this result, maybe if USF gets left out of the dance, we can get resolution sooner. But that's probably about 3 people who are diehard Golish folks.
Well, John Summerall is a guy that I would really like, and I think a lot of other people in this fan base, the more they read up on him, would really like him. He's done wonders at Tulane. I bring his name up often. Unfortunately, as these jobs come open one by one, his name is being mentioned very frequently. He is a rising star. He is a hard ass. I think we could use a hard ass. I think we could use a guy like that.
Would you actually break with tradition and go get yourself a defensive head coach?
That's what he is.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. These are some of the questions that who are we, what are we about as you're assessing the identity. Does it matter to you that we traditionally have had offensive-minded head coaches? Is it okay if we break ranks in this particular situation?
Yeah, you want a leader of men. You want people who prepare. I mean, Jeff Brom is not a defensive coach. He's an offensive coach, but a lot of people believe currently that there is an outside and burgeoning and very noisy group of people at Penn State who want Jeff Brom. Damn it, man. Now you're like, I don't want to get into a bidding war for Jeff Brom. If Jeff was on the outside looking in, would I want to go with Jeff Brom? Absolutely. I like Jeff Brom. He, too, is a hard-nosed guy. Said to be kind of difficult to deal with, but a mastermind of an OC. Team's prepared every week. Gets a lot out of, he's able to get blood from the stone, man. He gets a lot out of what he's got. Brent Key. Another name. I don't know. It's fun to do. I mean, look, not for us, but I guarantee you Dan Mullen's getting rehired by a big-name school somewhere. I mean, Mullen already has UNLV looking much better than they did, just like that. What are you smiling about? You want Dan Mullen?
No. But who would that be? Like Louisville?
Well,
a program that's going to lose somebody? Is that where you go if you're Mullen? Because certainly I wouldn't look at him and say, well, there's a guy that can get me players. He's a guy who could coach what I have.
He can really coach what you have.
He can coach what I have. But, I need more.
But better surround him with somebody else, right?
Right.
Summerall's 38-10 in his career. He was at Troy, led the Trojans to consecutive double-digit win seasons for the first time in school history, Tom. They also won back-to-back Sun Belt titles under my man Summerall. Tulane, 9-5 last season with an AAC title game berth. Green Wave having a good year this year. What are they, 7-1, 6-1, whatever they are? He was an assistant at Ole Miss. He was an assistant at Kentucky. 43 years old, up and coming, Texarkana native, a guy who can recruit the area.
Yeah, but how many people are calling his name?
Well, the more of these damn jobs that open up.
Right. Yes, you could say, well, we could offer him 6 or 7, and now it's got to be 8.5, 9 because there's just that much demand.
You see how quickly this happens, though? So I'll give you an example. I know Syracuse lost their quarterback, but Fran Brown was everybody's cup of tea for a moment. And even 2 weeks ago when we started talking about coaching, his name came up. He's 5 games over 500 at Syracuse. They get beat every week. But he's a popular name, and I understand why, because his personality is interesting. He can be very funny, sometimes petty. But that's a name, and that name is beginning to take on some weight here, some water, because they're losing games. And you'd say, well, I mean, again, he lost his quarterback. Well, they can't get blown out every week now.
Kyle McCord ain't in the portal every year.
That's right. So you start picking away at it, right? Jed Fish at Washington is said to be a candidate at the University of Florida. A lot of buzz around him perhaps going there. He played quarterback at Florida. So he'd be going to Florida where he played, and he's 60-28 for his career there. But even Jed Fish, I have a suspicion, would not move the masses in Gainesville. Not in the same way that Eli Drinkwitz would. Is Eli Drinkwitz a good fit in Gainesville? I don't know.
Boy, his interview last week, I don't know what form it was on, but it's him at his desk speaking on things.
Didn't work, did it?
No, that didn't calm any or quell any rumors if you're worried about losing him at Missouri. You're like, oh, he's gone. That's what that looked like to me.
The stuff behind the scenes, when you talk to people in that industry, they'll tell you that he desperately wants the Florida job. So, but again, Florida's aiming at Lane, and until he says no or Ole Miss announces an extension for Lane, Lane's in a nice position because Lane may not want to leave Ole Miss. I don't know. He may not want to, but he doesn't have to in order to get a hefty raise because now LSU's calling. So you have the two big names in the SEC that have probably decided that they want the same guy.
Lane knew that if he won this weekend, he was going to make a lot of money. Like he already does, but this was going to be, you beat Oklahoma. It is
on the road.
Significant raise from somebody.
It's a good win for them, man. That's a big win. It was
Yep.
a good win. And I'll tell you one thing he's done at Ole Miss that I think is probably the surprise of surprises. They play good defense, man. They play hard-hitting defense. They're not elite,
No, they're not. If Mateer could complete a forward pass, they would have lost that game by a lot.
Well, Mateer's in trouble. Mateer is clearly not over the injury.
I mean,
Mateer doesn't look right.
That stretch run when they're down 5 and they're down 8, my God. Sir.
Whole lot of guys with a lot of flaws. A whole lot of guys you can pick apart. To me, it's coming back to something we've talked about over and over again, and I'm going to be watching very closely to see how Florida State handles this. Is he a fit? There's no perfect guy. You're not looking out there going, oh, there's Nick Saban. Hire Nick Saban. Nick Saban isn't there. Kirby ain't leaving Georgia. When I get done saying...
And even then, what? You would pay open market value on Kirby? Let's just say that he said, it's stale here.
Well, Kirby's good.
What would he cost? 15, 16 million?
But Kirby would recruit his ass off and cheat to do it, and I want a cheater.
Well, he would do that.
I want to get down in the muck.
But Georgia has gone from A+ to A-.
Again, man, they keep winning games, even though it doesn't look pretty. They find ways to win games constantly, and that's when they're not, on their A game. They win. They win on the road in that league. It's hard to do. They always fight. I think that every team in America is finding that it's harder and harder to be as dominant as you once were, even as an upper echelon program. You're seeing that week to week. So I don't hold that against them. When your backups are being called incessantly by all the other programs in the league and out beyond it, because now you can transfer within the league, and this is what you face.
Well, that's the whole thing, though, is because it's much harder to be dominant, what's the point of paying the premium for dominance? Because these coaching salaries would suggest that you're paying somebody to dominate. Be like there's a plane that you're getting on, you're told in your first class, you're like, this looks more like economy plus.
This feels like a little bit of business class, man.
How much did you pay for the seat? The guy in the row behind you?
Yeah.
Oh, the $392 round trip. Well, I just paid $1,000. Looks like we're sitting in the same spot, pal.
Tell you what, though, I do like the nastiness that Georgia plays with. Even if they're a notch below where that A+ level was, where he lived, those guys hit and they fly. They're not as dominant as they were. You can score on Georgia. You can move the ball against Georgia in a way that you couldn't when he did stockpile athletes. But, man, do they hit, and they care, and they don't give up. You got to kill them.
Like sedans with no brakes.
It is very annoying. How many teams in that league have thought they had Georgia beat? And you're like, they're going to win again, aren't they? Look at these sons of bitches. He's in field goal range, Tom. Chef Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Florida man, you're all crooked again. What did you do to yourself this time?
Well, we were tailgating before the big game, and I had to defend Hank's honor. Some guy's arm wearing his gold chain and said, "Nice Gator fan." Can you believe that? Hank is a Seminole, thank you very much. But it all went downhill during Flip Cup. Hank was losing bad, and the guy starts heckling. He says, "Figures a Gator fan can't flip." The next thing I know, Hank's all over the table and going for the guy's throat. I tried to break it up. I grabbed a keg to end the chaos, and bam, my back went out like a lawn chair in a hurricane. I didn't even make it to the game.
Let me guess, Hank went without you.
Yep, stormed the field after the win.
At Finn Chiropractic, they'll get to the root of your pain and deliver the solutions. Book your appointment online at finnchiro.com, and you'll even get an online discount. Visit finnchiro.com today and find your path to a pain.
holiday or special occasion, so don't wait to go check out a true local gem serving Tallahassee since 1988. Now sing along with me, and I'll see you at Pentalta.
Pentalta Jewelry, Pentalta Jewelry, Pentalta Jewelry, home of the real nice guys.
Games for Less, Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used games, as well as new and used consoles like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Atari 2600, PS4, and PS5. You name it. Locally owned and operated since 1994, trade-ins are not only welcome, but Games for Less pays more for your trade-ins than the big chain stores. That's not all. Games for Less now buys and sells new and used vinyl records to boot. George loves the Beatles, by the way. Reserve all the new releases today at Games for Less, conveniently located in the Walmart Supercenter Plaza on Appalachia Parkway.
No matter what printing you need to keep your business running, we can help. Hi, Jason Butera here for The Printery. Reduce your stress and give us a call. From new product brochures or posters to yard signs, postcards, even letterhead and envelopes. The Printery sets the standard in personalized service with outstanding results. We offer full-service graphic design and free pickup and delivery. The Printery, home of 36-cent color copies. If it's ink on paper, we've got it covered. Call us today, 877-6418. 877-6418.
Ready to spice things up, Tallahassee? Slide into the all-new Tallulah Love Shop, your one-stop pleasure palace. From sensual toys and steamy couples kits to luscious aphrodisiacs and pheromone perfumes that whisper yes. And oh, don't forget the THC slushies, flower, 7-0 kratom, and sweet edible treats that hit just right. Grab your partner or come solo and see the all-new Tallulah Love Shop at 1530 Mahan Drive. More love, more fun, always at Tallulah.
Your gutters aren't going to clean themselves, and this October is your one shot to get it done free. Call Gutter Solutions and Waterproofing before the month runs out, and your gutter cleaning costs you absolutely nothing. No obligation, no purchase. Just clean gutters before the next storm rolls in. But hurry, October's ticking away. Go now to guttersolutions.net. That's guttersolutions.net. Or call today. Gutter Solutions and Waterproofing. With us, it's personal.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Hey, we got to pick our above and beyond player or thing or whatever it is we're going to do of the week, and I'll tell you about above and beyond in just a moment. First, this cute little sounder.
Above and beyond. Above and beyond. Above and beyond.
Above
and beyond.
There you go. Just like that. I see a picture of beautiful, crystal clear, bluish, greenish waters. Clearwater Beach Cottage. Walk to the beach. Forget about it. Tommy's typing in JCS right now to see what you're saving. Wow. That's a lot of money to save.
That is Thanksgiving Friday. Check out Monday after. How about after the holiday's over, you're done cleaning up, take the leftovers with you for one meal, and then go to the beach and enjoy first-class surroundings.
Hey, go back to that. Let's go back to the cottage thing that you had there. The one that's overlooking where we can see the water. I want to see the water. Yeah. So what was that total? I'm paying less than $800?
3 nights, less than $800.
Oh, forget about it.
That weekend, too. That's November and February down there, those 2 different months. Those 2 months hit differently, I should say.
Stunningly beautiful. AboveandBeyondVR.com. AboveandBeyondVR.com. Call them today, 727-253-5995, and say, I heard about you on the Jeff Cameron Show. I'm going to use that promo code JCS. There you go. You're walking in, walking out. Little cottage right there by the water. You hear the seagulls. You're feeling good. Feeling good. I like that. So that's Thanksgiving weekend. And then there are 30-plus properties, 18 of which have a pool to boot. Depends on what you want. Gathering with a bunch of people. Just going to be a sweet little romantic weekend away with you and the missus. It's a different deal. But they've got something for everybody is my point. I'll let you start, Tom. I don't have anybody.
Oh, I've got 2. I've got a negative and a positive above and beyond.
Let's go.
You want the positive first, the negative?
I want the negative first.
Okay, this is a good story. I'm golfing this weekend, and you can probably guess where. I'm on the 12th green.
Yep.
Standing over a putt, and I hear a guy yelling and screaming behind me.
Screaming?
Like screaming. And I asked the guys who I'm lining up the putt, looking back towards the tee box. I said, is that the guy on the tee box behind me having a rage fit? And they're like, yeah. I didn't want to turn around, but it was crazy. And then I hear thwack, a very loud noise. Did he just throw his club? And I said, no, he hit the tee marker. So he smashed the T marker. He had a drive he didn't like on 13, smashed the T marker.
What are we doing out here?
Right. So total rage fit.
Is it grown up?
Yeah. Group in front of us. Total rage fit. I line up my putt, hit a bad putt, and we go to the tee box. Here's the worst part. This is why it's above and beyond. The tee marker is still in half strewn about the tee box. The marker where they hit was up a marker ahead in half, and it wasn't replaced or brought in or anything like that. So I just said, well, this is the above and beyond moment of the weekend. This guy's rage fit was an all-timer.
I assumed you informed the pro shop?
You could put it back, and it was kind of intact. But they didn't. We had to. I don't know. What do you do? Do you quasi-narc in a segment like this and just speak about it generally as an above and beyond moment? Or do you go in? It's not your job to do it. That's on their honor to go in and report what happened. But I couldn't believe it. Like, it's something out of a bad TikTok video. They're like, oh, this ain't real. Or Instagram reel. Like, this is all fake to rage bait. No, this guy legit went above and beyond with not liking what he did on the 13th tee. So that was the negative.
Together, ass face.
Yeah.
The positive.
The positive one is the folks at Above and Beyond are looking out for you. Legit. I was having a conversation. We were going to talk about Thanksgiving weekend, so that's what you were presented with Clearwater. Airbnb is jacking up the rates across the board on renters, like the owners of these properties.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be a 3%. Now it's 15% in terms of the commission that Airbnb collects.
15%?
So they just upped it fivefold. So what Matt over at Above and Beyond said is like, look, it doesn't even have to be us. Just let the listeners know that if you're looking for properties and you see maybe on Airbnb that there's a company and it's not a private owner, go find the company's website because you'll save more. We have to raise our rates on everybody has to raise the rates on Airbnb. So that's them going above and beyond and letting you know, even if it's you're going to St. Augustine, you're going to 30A, wherever you're going, try and go to a local place because you're about to get price gouged because the actual price is going to be passed on to you. The owner's not going to sit and take that. So there you go.
That's well done. I hate to do this because I don't want them to win. We do get baseball again tonight. It is the sports equinox, which is a great thing. You've got a little something for everybody tonight. Hockey, NBA, Major League Baseball in the World Series, Monday Night Football, and the National Football League. It's glorious. But I've got to give credit where credit's due because me and my brother sat back, who was in town over the weekend, and I loved seeing him and relaxing with him and watching a little baseball. But, man, what did I witness in Game 2? The same thing I saw the last time this gentleman was on the mound. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is a badass, not afraid of the moment. And he evened the World Series with Toronto for the Dodgers with another complete game when the stakes were highest. That dude is awesome, and he's 25 years old, and I fear he is going to be emboldened by his postseason success, and he is fun to watch pitch because it is not 102 and you can't hit it. It is I locate several pitches, and I play in such a way that I am always under control, and there's a helplessness for the hitter that I watched repeatedly in that 4-hit, 105-pitch masterpiece and the Dodgers 5-1 Game 2 victory. So while I hate the Dodgers and do not want them to win, I like him and I like watching him pitch, and he was magic in Game 2. So my above and beyond player of the weekend was Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Would you give Antoine Winfield an honorable mention?
He got screwed.
Yes, he did.
He was something. Fumble recovery, which then should have been a touchdown, but was called down. Interception that then should have been a touchdown, was called down. But does get credit for the 2. Him or Anthony Nelson, who did have a touchdown along with 2 sacks and a forced fumble. You could go with any number of Tampa Bay Buccaneer defenders.
I got to tell you, the dismissal or dismissal of Rattler in the post-interception. There's a freeze frame there where he's looking down at him. He's not taunting. It's just part of the natural motion. That's a great still wide-angle photo.
Discarded as a elementary school child attempting to tackle a grown man as he was. That was tough.
That's what I was hoping this Wake game would be, is you realize because the Bucs aren't healthy and Baker's clearly not healthy and they're trying to call the game away from him throwing.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit dicey and you go, oh, they're just that bad. Like, that's what Stanford should have been for us on the road. It's like, well,
Yeah.
we're not great, but Stanford's just that bad.
Well, they benched Rattler, so they're moving on from him, and they moved on to Slough or whatever his name is. And,
Yeah.
I call him Slough. But, yeah, they did. They moved on from him. Well, when you get bitched in the way that he did after that interception, after your defense rises up and makes the Bucs look like a bunch of buffoons 4 times up the gut, well, it ended up being 9 times up the gut. But, yeah.
Yep, because technically it was 5.
Yeah.
Because there was a penalty on the first try.
Yeah, that hurt your feelings. That was they got de-pantsed a little bit there, emasculated a little bit there on the front lines, and then my man just comes out and throws a pick 6, first play from scrimmage, and gets run over afterwards.
Also, one of the super fans for the New Orleans Saints. Everybody has these people that go all out.
The super fans, yes.
And he's the giant whistlehead guy.
Yeah.
How did they not find him when the referees were discussing a whistle that never was?
Yeah.
That's on the truck, man. You know that guy's been there for like 20 years, 30 years as a Saints super fan with the whistle on his head. That the referee said that the play was blown dead for Winfield.
And there was no whistle.
Not at live speed, not on replay.
No whistle whatsoever. By the way, I do want to say, and this makes me laugh, George Springer, after the game, referencing the Yamamoto domination, said about this, Yamamoto mixed 6 or 7 or 8, whatever it was, pitches. He certainly showed us who he is. You can't try to nitpick or do whatever. It's one of which there it is. Because I felt like that watching him his last 2 starts. I'm like, what was that? That looked kind of like a cut. That was a splitter. That was a changeup. That was a fastball that rode in on his hands. That was a breaking ball away. That was a slider. What was that? Does he have a fork ball? What is he throwing? This is ridiculous. Everything's for a strike, and it's all over the zone all the time. I got angry watching it. Like, you can't hit this son of a bitch.
It's wiffle ball.
It's ridiculous. Come back, wrap it up. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Now, here's your Tallahassee weather report.
From the ABC 27 First to Know Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Ryan Gold. A very comfortable and sunny lunch hour for us today. Temperatures will be in the low 80s and upper 70s. By the time we head home from work today, we will still be very comfortable with temperatures remaining in the low 80s. From the ABC 27 First to Know Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Ryan Gold.
Is its most tempting treasure, fresh farm-raised oysters and clams. Plump, salty, and delicious, this bounty of bivalves makes any dish, whether grilled, baked, or fried, a little nautical, but nice. Sustainably harvested, these mouth-watering mollusks are available year-round. And with a flick of the wrist, a squeeze of lemon, or a splash of hot sauce, they turn any meal into a celebration on the half-shell. To see what fresh Florida farm-raised oysters and clams can do for you, visit freshfromflorida.com.
The competition is scared. Why? Because J.D. Power named Nissan, not Toyota, #1 in new vehicle quality among all mainstream brands. And all 2025 Nissan midsize SUVs have 0% interest for 60 months and up to $5,000 cash back. Kraft Nissan in Tallahassee.
Let's be honest, we all have way too much stuff. Maybe your storage closet is full, your garage is full, or the guest bedroom is a mess. Call Southeast Portable Building, 580-6400. Or visit them online at southeastportablebuildings.com.
Florida man, you're all crooked again. What did you do to yourself this time?
Well, we were tailgating before the big game, and I had to defend Hank's honor. Some guy's arm wearing his gold chain and said, "Nice Gator fan." Can you believe that? Hank is a Seminole, thank you very much. But it all went downhill during Flip Cup. Hank was losing bad, and the guy starts heckling. He says, "Figures a Gator fan can't flip." The next thing I know, Hank's all over the table and going for the guy's throat. I tried to break it up. I grabbed the keg to end the chaos, and bam, my back went out like a lawn chair in a hurricane. I didn't even make it to the game.
Let me guess, Hank went without you.
Yep, stormed the field after the win.
At Finn Chiropractic, they'll get to the root of your pain and deliver the solutions. Book your appointment online at finnchiro.com, and you'll even get an online discount. Visit finnchiro.com today and find your path to a pain-free tomorrow.
God gave us two ends, one to think with and one to sit on. Success in life depends on which one you use. Heads, you win. Tails, you lose. Hi, I'm Rick Hughes, host of The Flatline. Heard every Sunday morning here at 7:30 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3 Tallahassee Real Talk Station. Come join me 30 minutes of motivation, inspiration, and some education as I seek to reveal God's plan by teaching 10 unique problem-solving devices. Every Sunday morning, 7:30 a.m., 93.3 Real Talk Tallahassee.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Should make mention, by the way, that if you're looking to try to, relax, feel a little bit better, calm down a little bit. We're all feeling a little stressed right about now, frustrated by all of it. CBD gummies from Cornbread Hemp. That's where you go. Relax. Less stress. Works with your body, not against it. And, maintaining physical and mental wellness is important. We all know that. Cornbread Hemp CBD gummies made to help you feel better and alleviate that stress. All products, third-party lab tested, USDA organic to ensure safety and purity. That sleeplessness that I suffer, when you get older, sometimes there's sleeplessness, and I don't really know why. Maybe I'm not compartmentalizing my stress enough. CBD gummies made from the best part of the plant, the flower, for the purest and most potent CBD will do the trick. Right now, Jeff Cameron Show listeners can save 30% on their first order. Head to cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. You can use code warchant at checkout. cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Remember to use the code Warchant. Let's do probables, Tom. This late in the game.
Really?
Yeah. I'll give you, just for 2 seconds, we'll do a little MLB probables.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
World Series Game 3, series tied at 1 game apiece. Did you happen to catch that 6th inning the other night, that first game?
I did indeed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whew. One home run after the next.
Well, it just goes to show you when Savage is battling and he's given up 7 base runners and recorded 5 outs and he's trying to get out of this next inning, saving those runs mattered in that moment.
Yes, it did. Tyler Glasnow's on the hill for the Dodgers because, of course, he is. They just roll him out there. Don't like the matchup tonight for Toronto kids. Max Scherzer, 105 years old, will start for Toronto. That doesn't feel like it's going to work, but then again, it's baseball. Scherzer could go 5 and they could be in it, and the next thing you know, Glasnow's walking guys or hurt because he always is. Maybe you find a way to win. They've got a lot of bats.
Yeah, the whole thing, I think, if you're a Blue Jays fan, is if they score 5, I like my chances, and we got to score 6.
You got to get to their bullpen.
Yeah.
Just get to their bullpen. Good news for Toronto, by the way. Bo Bichette's going to start tonight. He's been limited by injury, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa has had to start, and he can't play. I know this because he was with the Pirates all year long, and while he gets to things and picks up the baseball, he hits like a small child. Unless he's playing the Mets, then he gets a home run.
Well, who didn't? Other than the Mets roster, who didn't?
But Bo Bichette, dare I say, as a reminder to all, Lakewood High School's own. Yeah, you forgot that, didn't you? He is a Spartan indeed.
Can't forget what you never knew.
So many great ones are. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Jeff's shoe can catch better is what Jesse J said. Catch better than what?
Coach better.
Coach, I said catch. I can't read. Oh, I haven't thought it out, Noel Gal. I need to. I like Dan Lanning an awful lot. Head coach. So give me Kirby as my head coach, Lanning as my DC, and my OC. You got a guy, Tom? I'll let you pick the OC.
Oh, man. Lane. No.
I'm going with Braum. So my team is Braum as my OC, Lanning as my DC, Kirby as my head coach. We're beating your ass.
Yeah.
You like that, don't you?
fair. Cosign.
All right, thanks. Jesse J. Old breadsticks had a winning record at FSU. Put the breadsticks in the air fryer. Let her rip. I've become, and I'm late to the game, everybody. I've become an air frying Jesse. I can do anything in the air fryer.
Yes,
anything. I can make gourmet meals in the air fryer now. I have become a master of the air fryer.
You're Kevin Garnett.
It's unbelievable.
Anything is possible.
Oh, that contrived nonsense.
Well, that's the air fryer.
Yeah. Jobs can still open in 27. That's true. Southern Cal, OU, Notre Dame, Texas. Yeah, it's true. I think the Texas one is going to open sooner than people realize. Thank you, CH. Second chance. I like it. Hey, look at the bright side. At least all these programs won't be trying to poach our coach. Thank you, Second Chance. I appreciate that. Hey, there's my man, No Kev. Let's hear it. Tell me something about the Falcons, please, who threw up all over the front of their shirt again as we entered the nice dwelling. How's that even possible? What a bunch of losers.
I think they have the 2 worst losses this season in the NFL.
It's humiliating. The Dolphins suck to high heaven.
It's a lot of sucking.
Imagine being an FSU fan and Atlanta Falcons fan, writes Noel Kev. That guy has to be throwing up on the daily. I like Mike Norvell. I like Raheem Morris. Neither is getting the job done. Gave both an equal shot. Also, I still like Brent Key. Fair enough, Noel Kev. I will say this. Mike, I've already moved on from. Teddy Bridgewater says 2 Live Hollywood. All righty then. I hired Teddy Bridgewater to be the next head coach at Florida State. Very quickly, Raheem's in trouble because of the aforementioned weird, inexplicable, embarrassing, are you kidding me losses on the ledger this year. You can't lose 30-0 to the Carolina Panthers, and you can't get blown the hell out by the impotent, just got blown out Miami Dolphins at the hands of the sorry-ass Cleveland Browns the week before, which is what the Falcons just did with a backup quarterback who was also not good in the game. That was weird. That was weird.
They are hard to pin down, those Atlanta Falcons.
Well, I'll pin them down. They're not any good.
Well, they've got two impressive wins this year where you go, oh, all right, Atlanta, you got a little juice to you. This is a problematic group. And then they've got 2 losses where you go, why aren't they the ones on the clock? Is it them versus New Orleans?
It is a strange set of circumstances, all of which were great for Florida State. I wish for Tampa Bay in the South, because the weekend was Carolina getting blown out by Buffalo. So much for my hunch. I did change my pick when I found out the Red Rocket was starting, by the way, in my official pool. Once I knew Andy Dalton was starting, I said, oh, I'm going to go away from that one. But I'll count the loss against my mom because that's fair at the time that I did.
Yeah, you guys split.
I would have swept. Anyhow, they get beat badly by the Bills. The Atlanta Falcons lose badly to the Miami Dolphins. And, of course, the Bucs lay a thump into the Saints, and so they further the lead in the NFC South. On their way, perhaps, knock on wood, kids, to their 5th straight division title. Do you guys even play football in this division, any of you? We're just over here bending them over.
We are, with like an aggregate record, like 4 games over 500 in that span. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. They can't get their ducks in a row. We're 6-2 currently, though,
That's
well
right.
over 500. I would also point out that the point differential in Tampa is the only one in the division that is of a plus number. Everybody else is a galling -38, -34, and -81.
Yes, and our injury report looks like a piece of legislation more
Littered,
than it does.
littered.
I mean, it's just names and names and names since the beginning of the season.
Do want to point out that the NFC West is a damn difficult division.
I like that.
Jam damn.
5-2,
5-2, 5-3, and I like all 3. That Seahawks team is for real. That Rams team is for real. 49ers, when healthy, which is seldom, is also for real.
And the Buccaneers are 2-0 against that division.
Yes, they are. The NFC is shaping up nicely, by the way. NFC North, Green Bay, Detroit, going to war. Bad loss, Chicago. Everybody scores 1,000 on Baltimore. Not you. Philadelphia seems to have a good handle on the East. Meanwhile, in the West, that too is fun. 4-3 KC, 5-3 Chargers, 6-2 Denver.
I think Cam Scadaboo's brain is happy that his ankle
was dislocated severely.
It needs some time, man. That guy plays hard.
He won't be in the league very long. I hope everybody enjoys Scadaboo. He'll be dead by 40. I don't wish it, but he plays irresponsibly. Good work out of you. Thanks, everybody. Be well. Hang in there. And I'm not rooting for Scadaboo's death. Smash tonight. Peace.
This is Shannon Young with Cross Country